Hello.
Hello, I'm a unicorn. Whee! Okay, what are you?
I'm a member of the Akatsuki. I don't know if you can tell.
Oh, okay, but I don't
I
know what that
was.
is.
Hmm.
Is this anime?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought you were. Okay. Do I get half credit? Come on.
Yeah. One of these days, I'm gonna trick you into Naruto because it's the. It's not
Somebody
my.
at the show asked me if I watched it, and I was like, no, but I've been told I'm supposed to be watching it, and they're like,
Mhm.
yes, you are.
I don't. I mean, you're a boy inside. I can tell. So you would like it because it's for little boys. Okay.
A boy inside, a tomboy, very much a girl. I always hung out with the guys all growing up because the girls were too much drama.
Mm-hmm.
I would check out the girls with the guys. Like, yeah, I'm one of the guys for sure.
You would like it. That's what I'm saying. It was designed for you.
Okay, well, you'll
All
shoot it
right.
over to me after the show, not this show, your show, and I'll make it happen.
Did you know this is a not safe for work podcast?
It's my fault, and I think I'm not sorry. Sometimes I feel just a wee bit sorry if I offend people because that's not my like that's not why I'm doing it. Like I don't have my tits out to offend you or to get you in trouble with your wife. I don't
Mm-hmm.
swear to make it so you can't listen to us at work. I'm just, I'm coming out of my shell. I'm trying to
You're just
find who I
a
am.
14-year-old boy
I'm
trying
a
to
14
figure
year
out
old
what kind
boy.
of
Just
man you're going to grow into.
that's right, and I've been repressed for
Yeah.
a great many years, and I'm just gonna bloom right now. And if that's offensive to you guys,
She's blooming.
I'm blooming. So just ride the ride with me. And if your wife needs an apology, I'm
You should ride Janice ride, everybody.
sorry. No, I'm not into married men. Sorry.
All right. Let's do a couple shout outs. Guess who's here first? Our sponsor.
What? Oh my gosh, he made it live. Thank you. You should be
Why is he home?
sleeping.
He's drunk. What is he doing?
You should be
Go to
in
work.
bed.
What?
Wait, no,
Yeah,
he's supposed to be
sleep.
sleeping. He already
I
worked.
know. He's getting ready for Halloween. Uh Jared's here. Forward motion.
Hi guys.
Lorga. Peter Snakes. K&B Reptiles. Will Heat. RN. Tutti Frutti made it.
Woo! That's a local peep, guys.
Powerhouse is also local.
Jessica left, so she's a traitor, but
I am a trainer.
that's one of the local people.
And Lou Balls.
Hi everybody.
Thank you
Thanks
for
showing
coming.
up.
My God. Why are you all here? You're supposed to be having fun on Halloween.
I would not be here if I didn't have to be, so.
Don't tell them that. Your secret is that you actually want to be here. You have
Oh, well,
conviction.
usually I do. It's just been shows make it real rough on school, and then my kids had a half days all week in parent conferences, and I'm like, you guys need to be in school all day, otherwise I don't get my stuff done.
What are you doing for Halloween? Do you have plans? Cool plans?
So I don't have my kids this weekend.
Spooky plans.
But I have a Halloween kids play date thing after this. So I'm getting to keep them tonight when normally I hand them off to their dad, and then he'll have them Saturday and Sunday. I have no idea what they're doing because he doesn't usually tell me. And then Monday's actually Halloween. And my oldest is getting to that age where she wants to go trick-or-treating with her friends, which is weird. I mean, I wanted to do the same thing when I was her age. It's not weird that she wants to do that. It's just weird for me that I have a kid that's old enough to be like, Mom, I'm too cool to trick or treat with you. I need to go.
I do not look forward to that. I just want hugs right now. And that's what I get.
And she's just like, I gotta go trick or treating with my friends. So drop me off at this address. Okay, cool. And I'm like, you're 10.
Tell her to say no to drugs. And
say no
boys.
to drugs. But also I'm like, I need a parent to call me. I need to confirm that this party actually exists because 10-year-old girls, they'll plan this whole hoopla and forget that, an actual
no one
adult
actually consented to that.
Correct. Because she's like, well, I'm 10 now. So screw you. I'm going to plan a party and we're going to make it happen. And we don't need any adults. And so I'm like, I'm not just going to kick you out of the car on Halloween and be like, take luck. Like, that's never been who I am as a parent.
Right.
So I sent her a note to school with my cell phone number on it. And then her little friend from school starts texting me. And she's like, yes, here's my address. Here's the time. Here's the plan. And I'm like, you're adorable.
Right. Who's your mom or dad?
Who's your mommy or daddy? Can you please have them text me instead of you? Because I don't text kids. It's weird.
Right. Yeah.
So then her mom texts me, and come to find out, she's like the recess teacher or somebody at their school. And that's why my kid was like, don't worry about it. It's fine. Because she knows the parents, but I don't know the parents. Right. So then I was like, does she need an adult? And then she's like, yes. Like, I'm not volunteering to take a bunch of 10-year-olds trick-or-treating. So we're all going to go, and she's going to like walk ahead with her cool kids group. And then her mom and I and other parents with their younger kids are going to trick-or-treat behind them. So they feel like they're independent, but
not really. No.
Maybe when she's 12, she can go. I mean, I went trick-or-treating by myself when I was in 5th grade and 10. But I'm a bitch, so she doesn't get to.
All right, Dylan's here. Lisa's here. Stone Age is here. We got a lot.
Whoa. How many people are here?
23.
Holy Julie. Shit. Why are you guys here?
Take 23 shots for everybody who's in the chat.
Oh my gosh, I would too.
Try not to die.
Anyway, I have an adult Halloween party on Saturday that I'm going to that my ex didn't want to go to last year. It's thrown every year by a really good friend of mine. And
but it's not that kind of adult, right?
And he didn't want to go. So I just ended up not going because I didn't want to go by myself and be like a third wheel at a party of couples or whatever. But I talked a girlfriend into going with me, so I won't be a third wheel because I am single. But it's like, fuck that. I'm going to go and do fun things because I'm not with him anymore. So I don't have to sit at home and feel bad that I don't have someone that wants to go with me because I can go with me. And I'm a fucking fun person to take to a party. So I'm going to go and I'm going to have a really fucking good time, probably be hungover the next day. And that's how it is.
All right, good. Good job. I'm vending a show. That's my Halloween weekend. Hillary's here and... There was another one.
Oh, powerhouse. I'd slide some pics into your DM, but you're very, very married and a nice guy. So
super married.
So if you're not married and you want some of those pics, let me know. But I don't mess with the married guys. Sorry.
Right. Do we still have a sponsor? I'm not sure.
We do, and apparently he's willing to miss sleep just to comment on our live.
I don't know. He hasn't commented yet. I think he woke up in like some sort of delirious state. It's like,
he probably reprogrammed his phone to like drop a comment.
Okay, Jana, here's what I got for you.
Oh, so cute. And
so this is a blade calico clown.
I was gonna ask if it was a calico, but it's got blade.
Yeah, so the blade fought back a lot, right?
Okay.
But he still IDs it as calico because it has that weird, like,
it definitely does.
Extra stuff.
Yeah.
But my question for Shane, which Shane will probably message me eventually, is did the father look like that? The one that was a blade calico progenitor, did it have the extra sort of popcorning along the belly? Or was that one so strongly blade that it hit it all the way? Like, how much secret calico or whatever you want to call it could blade hide? And then feedback. Remember the situation with the yellow blade leopard G-stripe that he bought after I was talking about it? And I was like, I want to know if he bought it because we were talking about it. He said no. He said Sal Gomez sent it to him because he wanted to buy it. And then Shane didn't know he wanted to buy it, and he scooped him.
Oh, so it was like, look at this badass snake, and then
he's like, oh yeah, that's hot. I'll just buy it.
Bitches.
And Sal was thinking about buying it.
Fuck, man.
And I was like, that's a funny story. And Sal's still okay with it. He's come to peace with what happened. But it was just like ironic that we talked about at the same time because it was a nice example of that combo.
A really nice example. Yeah, for sure.
So that was my my feedback from that part. No, so we'll just keep this going. I'll randomly ask Shane a question, and then 3 days later receive a response, and then we'll keep this
That man
party
is-
rolling.
I was gonna say he's a grinding every fucking day.
Mhm.
Can we bring up Will's comment? My wife would ask for them before me. Well, if that's the case, you have your wife slide into my DMs, and then we're good on all fronts. But I have to hear it from the horse's mouth, because
Dylan too. Listen, you should charge.
I should charge. OnlyFans to be distributed very soon. No, I'm just kidding.
DTMG is also here, so that's fun.
Yes, for sure.
Welcome.
Hi. You would not believe how many times on the dating apps they're like, "Oh, I'm in an open relationship," or "Oh, my wife's chill with it."
Or are they?
And I'm like, "That's awesome. Can I talk to your wife?" And then they're like, what?" And I'm like, I'll fuck you. That's cool, but I need to talk to your wife first. And they're like,
right.
Oh, I'm busy. And then they ghost you. So
right. That's why Ashley Madison is gross, right?
For sure. So
like,
now
if you're gonna be cool about it, be cool about it. Don't be weird about it.
Yeah.
God.
So now I'm just like a blanket no, unless the wife reaches out. And then I'm like, I'm down to party. That's cool. But unless it's from her mouth, you're a fucking liar. That's all I'm saying. No offense to you people in the chats. I just mean on dating apps.
So if you need something, a hognose, a ball python, or a leopard gecko, Shane, Small Town Exotics, Instagram, Morph Market, the Boob Tube, and where does he live? Tennessee? The backwoods of Tennessee with some sort of Appalachian cryptid, because it's Halloween, right? I made a spooky background. Do you like it? I don't know if it's spooky enough.
It's perfect. It's epic. I love it.
It's
setting the mood right now. All right, it's a good mood.
This will probably just come back every year. And I even changed my logo to like the dead snake and rabbit. But you don't have an undead logo. So I'll need you to pay $200 Snake and Pencil to commission a random additional Halloween logo for this podcast next year. Sorry.
Getting right on that.
And Shane. Well, imagine if that was like a snake skull with like a different color palette.
That would be really awesome.
I know. Snakes have cool skulls, no matter what the snake is, really.
I should recreate the Britney Spears music video, the one with the snake.
The albino berm. That albino berm was like...
What's the song?
It was an MTV live performance on the music video awards. I don't think it was in the video. Or was it? Or is it you're talking about a different snake she danced with?
No, you're right. MTV Lives.
I used to know pop culture. I don't know anymore.
I'm a slave for you. Oh, and she's got like her own version of the gold bikini. That's why everybody likes it, because they like the gold bikini fantasy. Maybe I will. I mean, so the next 6 weeks, well, in about 2 weeks, for the next 6 weeks, I'm going to be campaigning pretty hard because I want to be the first woman to win Snakes and the Fat Man 15 Minutes of Lame contest.
Can you remind everyone the rules? Because it's new this year to prevent hinky-pinky activity.
Well, hinky-pinky activities, I cannot offer blowjobs for votes. I asked, and I was told I would be disqualified. I cannot.
What?
I can also offer.
I thought he would be like,
nudes for votes, or I will be disqualified. He felt the need to specifically tell me these things, so I'm pretty sure that these are just rules for me. He's trying to like tie one hand behind my back, so that's not fair.
I'm pretty sure if Reggie's Urban Jungle did like a shirtless, tasteful nudes or something.
No. So I can post on my Instagram and stuff like flirty, sexy, like reels and shit, which I plan on doing. But I can't be like slide into my DMs and, call me for 30 minutes kind of a thing. Yes. So it's 25% of the vote is the public. So the voting. So if another thing happens where people like use bots and steal the vote, there's still like a
was still fucked up.
That was really fucked up.
Yeah.
And then there's 3 judges. So the previous winners, Shane Kelley, which he's already let me know I do not have his vote in the bag.
Dang it, you gotta earn it, girl.
I have got to earn it, and I've got to work my ass off. Shane is going to be reviewing all of the videos and then watching how people campaign in order to make his vote. So unfortunately, that's not a shoe-in lock. Mm-hmm. But and then Antoine was the next winner, and Chris's best friend Donato from Eyeballs. And then apparently on the live last night, he gave away his clinch vote to MJ. Yeah. So I'm fucked there. Like, I'm like, really? That was how I was going to win it, is the clinch vote, because I knew he'd vote my way because he likes my boobs. But apparently that was cheating. So he gave it away to MJ.
It apparently will be live on the Snakes and the Fat Net website next month. Do you know? Does anybody know what day? Do you know what day, Jana?
I think he said the 17th, but all that information is going to be coming out soon. Sometime in the next 2 to 3 weeks, that's going to be going live. There's going to be a lot of prep the next couple of weeks where he's going to be talking to us behind the scenes to set it up. And then it should be live until I think Christmas or New Year's and for the vote. And then they'll do the big like the judging vote thing. And then the winner gets to have a full episode on Chris's show. So, and then the title, obviously. And so they've never had a woman win. And I just think that'd be badass because he's always like promoting women and saying that he's for the women. And I just think we need some equal representation. So I'm going to be showing off the assistants, begging for your votes, doing what I can for the women, using the assets that I have. So that's what you guys are going to be hearing it a lot. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Vote for me.
And I don't want to like suck his dick too much or whatever, right? But it is like
a big deal.
It's still an honor to.
It's a huge.
It should be.
Fucking
I don't
deal.
know.
But the funny thing is like we're over here sucking his dick, but he doesn't think it's a big deal. But maybe that's just because he rubs shoulders with all the big people. So for him,
all the cool kids.
All the cool kids. So he's at the cool kids table. And he has no idea what it's like to sit like outside in the basketball court way against the like stinky trash, So
I'm the stinky trash in this scenario, right?
No, I just mean like our level is like we're like watching. We're not even watching the bleachers of the cool kids. We're watching the cooler kids play basketball. And so Snakes and the Fat Man winning the contest, I feel like gets you in the cafeteria, which I'm not even in the cafeteria yet. I'm still like outside. So he doesn't realize, I don't think, the amount of impact it has on someone. And I want to win it for women, woohoo. And I want to win it for myself just because it's something, I mean, I've listened to him for a long time. So it's something that I have wanted to win before. And then it has a lot of clout. And I think that it's good for business. It's good for the podcast. It's good all the way around. So I need to see the bottom half of Jana to vote for you over Cigar City. Well, there is a picture that's floating around in the world. If you ever show up to his Zoom calls, he put it in the Zoom call of me wearing almost nothing but his tank top. It's pretty damn good. So maybe I'll throw that up there.
All right. We did our opening nonsense. Are we ready to do what I claim to be able to prove?
All right. We're ready.
I didn't sleep very much last night because of last night's drama, which we'll maybe talk about later if people care. I don't know if anybody gives a shit. But I'm here now, Jana. I'm willing to talk about ball pythons again.
It's been a while.
It's been like 1 minute. All right. Whoa, spoiler. So I could make this presentation about, but I'm not going to. Does that make me a bad person?
Do your thing,
everyone knows that ball pythons are a version of a pyramid scheme. But scheme is a negative word, so that makes it sound like it's a scam. And it's not really a Ponzi scheme because that's all money. So you need other people to buy in to pay the people who are cashing out early, and the interest rates just aren't based on anything. And it's kind of like a multi-level marketing scheme because the whole pyramid works because you're kind of recruiting someone to join
the lower levels. So that
you need to sell
your shitty snakes, and they're excited to have your shitty snakes. so you can move up in the world.
Right. But unlike a real MLM, you're not getting a commission based on who you recruit's sales, right? And that's the
So it's
only way.
worse than an
No,
MLM.
so it's better because like the only way you make money in an MLM is by recruiting. But in this case, you make money by selling a snake for more money than it costs to make. And the margin there is what matters. Does that make sense? So yes, recruiting is helpful to the system, but it doesn't, but you're not directly, like if I convinced you to go get into corn snakes and you bought one from me or something and 10 from somebody else and you start breeding them, I've technically made competition, not recruited somebody where I get 10% of all of your income.
Which would be fucking cool if that's how it worked.
Right, but there's not enough humans in the world to ever make an MLM make sense after like level 3.
Right.
So it's none of those things. And it is sort of a greater fool theory where you're hoping greater fool is where you buy an overpriced asset at one price, knowing it's overpriced given its value, because you want to hope that someone will speculate on it and think it's more expensive than when you bought it. That's the greater fool theory. So snakes aren't, and lizards and frogs aren't really like that. You don't expect them to be more expensive when you go to sell them, but you do expect someone to be there to buy it. So you're hoping someone else is as dumb as you and also wants to buy dumb snakes and lizards too. So it's not a greater fool. It's just another fool.
Yeah, you need to bring in as many fools like you as you can. Suck them in.
Right. So none of it's really a pyramid scheme or any of the things that I've just described. It's something else, but it's something that's universal to all animal breeding hobbies and paradigms. If you have a really cool cow, everybody's gonna be like, man, your cow is awesome. Can I buy a bunch of straws of cow jizz that you've ejaculated into like a dummy cow, and I will pay you big bucks because I want cool cows in my cow herd.
Right.
And I'm going to AI them with your cow's sweet jizz.
Sweet jizz.
And they pay tens of thousands of dollars for sweet cow jizz. And they're doing their own thing. So then they're in their own like breeding Ponzi scheme where like recruitment and whatever. So is this a dumb hobby, right? No. So I'll tell you why, and why I have conviction that the whole thing still works. Like long ago, when we had like one morph at a time that was popular, it would come out of Africa, and they're like, "Let's go." The like number of people, which is up here, and the price was high, and when there was less people and less amount, the price was high. As they bred, the price would obviously drop, and so you had to get in like in the middle or whatever to get rich or do really well. But there's no, except for the animals that exit this sort of paradigm, like because they die because breeding is hard, or they go as high in pets, or like a pet keeper kills it, you're always going to have this sort of flow down to like whatever the pet price is based on the aesthetics. Right? Eventually it'll get there because you're just making more of the same thing. The pyramid will collapse to the pet price in time. Does that all make any sense at all? But all species will do it, not just ball pythons. Sometimes it's not a pyramid. Sometimes it's more of a column. Like a rare species that's not overbred or underbred, doesn't have a lot of morphs, it'll be the same price through time. Because there's not big spikes of production and then like people like driving that production down to a pet price. It's just everyone always expects a Savu python to be cool looking and be a certain price because it's rare and it's not bred that much. So should you focus on just rare species? Yeah, you could have a whole business of just small colonies of rare species that have very stable prices. In my opinion, Van Russo is like the best example of that. He does have some morph boas, but he has a lot of stuff, boa constrictor localities that take 7 years to grow up. So if he just grows them up and has a very mature collection, and he breeds them every other or every 3 years, he always has a product that no one can like rebreed really fast. So his prices are extraordinarily stable. You can 100% make a business that way too, and you never have to do the morph pyramid.
Yeah, and in the comments they're talking about the person who did 400K in a day. Yeah, we can be mad about that because we didn't think of it, but he pre-brokered those sales. Like he invited those people to come and compete for prices to buy his shit. So that was
right. He forced
really
them not to buy anything in advance. He told them he
correct.
would only sell them in person. So that
That was
incentivized
savvy as hell.
scarcity. And
So they all came in guns a-blazing with their pockets ready, and that's how he did so fucking good, is that he created scarcity, he created demand, and he created competition, which is like the trifecta of business. So, I mean, we could all be jealous and be pissed off, but that was well played. I mean, like, fucking call me, teach me. I'm ready to learn.
And then Blackjack said, I missed this comment earlier. Like, is there an infinite supply of fools? No. But there is probably always going to be. The goal would be to always have this part be good. Always be converting pets, because pets don't breed, right? Convert pets at high end, convert pets at middle, convert pets at low end, because they don't contribute to the speed at which the pyramid collapses. So is there an infinite supply of pet keepers? No, also. But that number far outweighs anyone that would want to deal with morph market messages at 2 a.m. that are incoherent and they didn't read your terms of service. So like the amount of people willing to do that is small enough compared to the pet price if you can convince pet people to want the species that you're making, in my opinion. Whoa!
What is that? It's like a bunch of vaginas in a tree.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a feminist manifesto in here, maybe. I'm not sure. So eventually, it's not just one morph racing to the bottom, It's many morphs doing their races. So there are less people working on each project. So like this is clown, and this is pied, and this is like combo codoms with OD, and this is albino. And so they're all sort of working independently. So less people are in each project, the more complex the system goes. And so there are more people who are like in the bleeding edge of the project, and there's less competition at each level. So maybe the high-end price is lower, but the speed of collapse of each pyramid to the pet price is also slower. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Yes. So that was like the later meta, like 10 years ago. Now we're doing this shit. Holy mackerel, in my opinion. With double, triple, quad recessives, each time we do that, we've spawned...
What the fuck am I looking at? Vagina on her period.
Yes.
You guys all know what I'm going to say to those.
Exactly right. And it's like on a bush. And this is like a fractal tree, because that's what this reminds me of, this process. Each time you make a combo and that becomes like an aesthetic somebody's working on and adding genes to, that is a new pyramid like forming around DG Clown. So who's the first person in the DG Clown? Okay, so they have like market share and lead on the project. But could somebody like jump up, like
out of nowhere,
go get a blackhead pie, breed it to their DG Clown, and somehow make like a triple het that is somewhere like in the like 3rd grade tier, and they can jump up. So this complexity, flexibility, and like tolerance for all of the fun stuff we're doing makes the whole thing even more stable. Every time you pull a clown from a clown project to go make double hets, it's not making more clowns. So the price of clowns doesn't go down because you've assigned that breeding potential to another double recessive, for at least for that season, right? So to me, this part will happen for 40, 50 years or something, like a long time. It'll take a long time to have had all of our fun and made all these combos and whatever. Prices will be like relatively stable, but they will all in the end drift down to the pet price. Is that okay with people? I don't know. I don't know if there's like literally an infinite universe where speculative buying of morphs will happen forever in ball pythons because time will mean that we will catch up. It will be a corn snake market eventually where like all the ball pythons are between $50 and $200 and people just buy ones they like because they think they're pretty, which is what happens in corn snakes now. And is that me like condemning the business model of like the speculative morph part? No, I don't think so. That's fine. People will just move on to another species that they can speculate and have fun with in that way.
I don't agree.
Okay. Why
Are you
don't you
saying
agree?
like in 50 years it's going to do
Yeah,
that?
or 100 years. The generation
Okay,
time
I can agree with that. Yeah, that's fine.
of ball pythons is good for this reason. Small number of eggs, long generation time, like 3 years or whatever ish for a female.
D-Ball is on the same thought process as me. He said in the comments, this is an example that wouldn't the entire tree be growing more roots versus collapsing because the possibilities are literally endless and there are always more stuff to make and new combos to make. I think, yeah, that's what I think about the ball python industry is that it like rejuvenates itself. Like this is something that Justin understands and that he excels at is that he is constantly working 50 different projects at the same time and pouring, let's see what this does, you know, and then he makes it exciting again. And then a bunch of people run out and that project inflates. And so
right.
I
so
think
like
that
that's
you can,
like when I said like
yeah, no, I get it.
A pyramid will form
but
a
you're
new
saying
pyramid.
that it's going to collapse. And I think that it's just going to like G-Stripe. It's been $200 for 20, 30 years because people are like, oh, it all makes a different colored slug, you know? And so everybody's just like, that's not worth anything. And now it's getting resurgence.
Right. But this is in a span of 30 years. I'm talking like orders of magnitude. Will there always be a new ball python combo that is enough to make a new pyramid of speculation? Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe.
I think there will be. That's what I'm trying to say.
I don't in 100 years, but because right now there's like a diminishing returns. So if you made a pewter fire inchy or something, does anybody care? Well, what if you made a pewter fire vanilla? Those are the same enough things. There are lots of ways to make new peaks and new goals and make it fun. But the fact that there's an 8 million combos doesn't matter if, you know, I don't know, like 70% of them look the same. I'm just saying this is okay.
Right.
Both future realities are okay as long as the cost of how much it makes you to make a snake is less than the cost you sell it for.
Are we going to talk about that?
Yeah. No, we are.
Okay. Perfect.
Because I mean, this is what I was talking to Sean about. Because Sean's like, the ball python collapse is imminent. It's imminent, like within a day or two. And I'm like, but people can still sell ball pythons regularly to pet people for more than how much it makes. He's like, no, they can't. Like, but I think they can't. So then I was like, fuck it, let's make a spreadsheet, which is going to make this a lot more boring. Ugh, so boring looking already.
I can't even see it. It's too little.
All right. I'll bring us.
Sorry, guys. I got to close out the chat so I can read our numbers.
Can I make it bigger?
Oh, I'll just make it big on my phone. Hang on.
Okay.
It'll be fine. I got it.
So in this scenario, you're not paying yourself a wage to take care of the parents. You are just breeding a mom to 1/4 of dad's feed bill because he would be paired to 4 animals.
There is a spot where it says 100%. You could probably put it at 200 because if anybody's watching on their phone, they're not gonna be able to see this because I have it on my laptop and it's too little. Nope. Down. Nope. Yeah, that'll work too. There we go. Thank you.
We figured it out. So this is Cold-Blooded Cafe. This is frozen. It's kind of the most expensive. I gave it a cash ass feeding schedule. It's not like super intense or super light, sort of in between. And if your average clutch size is 7 eggs, it should cost you just for food $41 to make a ball python. But you don't just buy food, right? You buy some other stuff. And you need to buy stuff to sell the snakes too. So I just guessed, and these are like rough guesses, so including feeding holdbacks and feeding non-breeding adults, is about $26 per egg if you had 292 eggs produced. No, wait. The number of eggs is 171 because you had, this is like an ARS rack, so 35 females, 5 males, 70% go.
I'm like, who's making 200 eggs a year? I had 25 clutches and I didn't make
this all made sense in my head, but
okay, no, it makes sense now.
Okay, so and obviously this number is crazy too, but this number, so you get a cost per snake to make of $68, and this number could be way lower if you breed your own, way lower, like half. Breed your own
rats.
Yes,
I'm following you. Keep going.
So I think what Sean is saying is this: if you sold a snake for $100 and it costs you $68 to make it, you're making a profit, but you're not paying yourself a wage.
Certainly not a livable wage.
So like I have a little, like, this is a normal human in the USA. So how many snakes, and this is all active so we can change it. How many snakes at $400 profit minus tax is your take home in this one ARS rack, right? So in this one ARS rack, if the average sale price is $400, you can take home $40,000 after tax and after expenses, even paying expensive rodent costs. So that doesn't like take care of rando American, but it probably takes care of someone who has like a partner who has a job,
a supplemental income.
So doesn't that sound kind of like it works?
Yeah, it does sound like it works.
It starts to like not work when it's like $150. No.
This is why you want to be breeding like visual clowns, visual pieds, double hets. Although double hets don't matter in the pet industry, but
right, but it's not that intensive a pairing to get an average per egg price that's like this. So you have like one holdback that's like the best. You sell like one good one. You have a couple of middling ones and like a pet one that's not that great. It's very easy to hit an average price of around $400 to $500 if some of your stuff is kind of good, not even great, not cutting edge. So like I did calculate you need 221 eggs, which is more eggs than that rack would produce. So your expenses would go up to get 51,000, which is like a normal Humi. Obviously where you live is different, but that's not insane. I feel like you can make a full-time business breeding ball pythons with the right mix of morphs and the ability to sell to the pet level, the like intro breeder level, and a little bit of high end. You don't necessarily need to go high end. That'd be great, but you don't have to.
Yeah, D's Ball said he wants to see the average at 750.
Okay. Is that your average, D's Balls?
No, he just says 750 or 2,500, what it does if you're in the more high-end projects.
So 750 is 81,000 per ARS 5540. That would be like average per egg of a 7-egg clutch.
Correct.
2,500 would be bank.
Bank, bitches.
Your daddy money. It's $292 for the
bank people. Get you all the lower body shots you want. Woo! No, yeah, for sure. So what we're saying is go home and sell all those single gene females. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. The market's terrible for breeders right now.
What I'm saying is if you can sell the snake for more than it costs to make, it's just a matter of like numbers. So this is corn snakes, which everyone's like, no one can make money in corn snakes. It costs
my reason for not getting into it.
Well, it costs even less to make a corn snake. I estimated $17 to make a corn snake.
What? And so that's comparable to the $68 of a ball python?
Right. They eat stuff that's extremely cheap and they don't cost a lot to hold. So if you just sold corn snakes for $150 after producing them for $17, that's not breeding your own, which if you bred your own rats, the cost of making a corn snake would probably be like $5.
Jeez.
But it would take one ARS rack to make the same wage as the ball python rack.
But you'd also have to sell twice as many babies. You'd have to have a market for twice.
It's 420 versus 171. So yes.
Yikes.
But so like this is a higher.
I want to make less babies, not
This is a
more
higher
babies.
touch situation because the
Yes.
cost is less.
Okay.
But corn snakes are really easy to wholesale.
She does
Right?
miss us. She misses us every day. She has dreams about it.
Wait, which one?
These balls. He's saying 420. You missed the Pacific Northwest.
Oh yeah, fuck. I miss people that are normal, which sounds weird. I'm just like, everyone assumes you're like, I don't know, a racist piece of shit everywhere you go. They're like, yeah, fucking, and they drink their natty light, and then you're like, oh god, I gotta go, help.
Yeah.
So I stay in their house.
Yeah, Will's Hella Heat said that he got rid of his low-end stuff to avoid making low-end animals that cost the same to make as high-end stuff. Yes. A
So that is-
$10,000 snake costs the same to make as a $20 snake. But you also have to remember your own personal investment in that, because we're not factoring any of that in.
No, not at all. Because
So,
once
obviously it's worth it, and we're not saying don't do that or that it's wrong. That's absolutely right. We're just saying for those who haven't invested in high-end stuff, you have to also consider and think about, do you have the money to invest? And that's why people are like, oh, it's a growing year. Because if you're spending $50,000 on high-end snakes for your breeding group for the future, you're just pouring your profit back into your business, which is fine. That's a great business model. But if you're trying to make money to pay your bills, you know what I mean? Like, we all know what I'm talking about. I'm just gonna.
So RN says, I average $300 per gecko for approximately 275 geckos and make 82.5K. What I'm saying is, even someone selling to pet people with a little mix of investment can still make a living wage on top of paying for their costs.
That's why she's saying it's the ball python industry is not a scam, because you can actually make a living wage.
At every
That's the
level
point here, guys.
you could make
all this
$400
complication. Yes,
until your eyeballs bleed, even though it's so boring, and you can still be fine if you want to. And you could sell corn snakes, although it's more touch and harder, but it's fine. You just have to build your business to accommodate the expenses and the potential profit. We'll share it. It's not that good. Like, it might sound good right now because it's incoherent.
She'll share it. She doesn't realize that it's awesome. I'll make sure she does.
Yeah, and there's so much personal satisfaction in like working like a high-end project where you're working on it. Like, that's why most people want to spend money on more expensive snakes. Not like, oh, I need to like increase my percent. Although that might be part of it. They just want to see what it looks like together and they like it, you know? That's cool too.
Yeah, it's Dylan, right? These balls, that's Dylan in Tacoma. Yeah, okay. Yeah. We should totally get together. I'd love to see your collection. And that is not a euphemism. I actually want to see your reptile snakes. And then he says that the kitty in the background looks like it wants to scratch his eyes out. No, that's the hang in there. No,
this is the hang in there kitty.
It is the hang in there kitty. Like, I'm like, I know that. Oh, that's girls.
I bought it because I thought everyone was being a downer last week, and I was like,
right. Everybody y'all need to hang in there. No, this
think
is the
about
kitty.
Why you're in the industry and why you like it. And even if you have to like lose a little money on some $20 snakes, that could be a good customer or a good future person. That's fine. You will have made profit on any snake, any ball python that you sell for more than $68.
Right.
Sounds like easy breezy to me.
For sure. Dylan, are you still doing your podcast? If you get real cynical, the whole thing is a pyramid scheme. So what she's trying to say is it does not fit the like educational the descriptive requirements for it being a pyramid scheme, because a pyramid scheme is a scam in which the lower people lose out on everything and the upper people get out before they lose out on everything. And that's not what the ball python industry is. It looks very much like a pyramid scheme. It looks very much like a multi-level marketing. But what she's saying is that those things are often designed to siphon the money from the lowers to give the money to the uppers. Whereas this industry, if you build yourself into the uppers, yes, you're selling to the lowers to make your profit, but you're not stealing their profit.
And
they aren't giving
every
you a percentage.
Time you sell to a pet person, no matter the price point, you haven't stolen anything. You found the commodity price for that snake. They're not speculating on it like you are when you go buy like a morph. You're like, I think I can combo this and make a cool thing out of it. You have found the commodity price. You have found the like price of a cow at an auction when you place it into a non-breeding pet home. So that's why I encourage people to do that. Those are great placements. They don't compete with you. It is a hard sale. Pet people are confused about why they're here. They don't know where they are. But those are like my favorite sales because they're the most supportive to the whole industry. That's clean money coming in. Gen Z on Proper Royals, I'll just say it. He was like, I couldn't buy my new high-end stuff this year until I made my bell sales for the year because the high-end stuff wasn't moving. So that was money outside the hobby came in, allowed him to buy from someone else, which allows them to buy from someone else and move their projects along.
Yeah,
so
that's
that outside money
we should us all going.
We should still chase it, is what I'm saying. You don't always have to go all high end.
I make from reptile shows, that's all pet money.
Yeah.
And then Lisa says, what about trades? Do ball python people do that? Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you have three multi-gene double het pieds and your buddy has multi-gene het pieds because you're in the same process, a lot of people will be like, you get your favorite, I'll keep my favorite, and then we'll swap our second favorites to each other. And then you've added genes and diversified both of your projects. Or you could be like, I have these 3 snakes I don't really want, and you have this really nice snake that you want. And some people are happy with that.
It's just funny. Read it, Jana.
I want an OD clown pied cow. That sounds like a cool ass cow. I want to name her Betsy. I have no idea what that means.
Because I just referred to like the commodity price of a cow.
Right. Okay.
Because cow, like a cow calf operation takes their calves to the market once a year. Nobody cares how many hours he was like working on fencing or whatever.
Right.
He just takes them to auction. A calf buyer buys them. He gets a check for $30,000 to $70,000, and he hopes that was enough to cover his expenses for the year. So the people are like, "Well, I'm not getting valued enough because I sold some of these for $20,000." Listen, it's about the aggregate of all income to all whatever. So like, don't fret the whatever. I just think it people shouldn't target their entire breeding production to just pet people because then that, it's a high touch.
What the hell are you doing?
It's high touch. Who, me?
No, if all you're doing is breeding pets on purpose and you have no aspirations, you're not growing up something better, you're not breeding and saving babies for something better. If you're just breeding pet stuff and you're like, yay, I'm doing it. Please.
And your average videos, clutch. Your average clutch.
Maybe message me and I'll get you on the right track.
Or whatever.
I learned this my first year. Now I had babies that I had bought in like the Pied project and the G-stripe project that I was growing up. And then I was learning. And then I had a male prove out to be a bunch of genes that I didn't know he'd prove out to be. And I made a $2,000 snake my first year breeding. And I had thought that I was going to be in the 500 and under category the whole year. And selling that one snake was more than I had made in my other first like 5 clutches. And I was like, light bulb. Like I had already knew that I wanted to breed like better, higher end stuff, but I was like, pets, yay. Like I'm always going to be in that $1,000 range. And I love pet people and I love going to shows and connecting with those new people who have never, touched a snake or whatever. You sell a $2,000 snake and you're like, yes, that took me the same time and money and energy to produce as its sibling that's a normal that's going to go for $40. So yeah, I mean, you should be doing that too.
Yeah, you should be doing both. But I just think people are like, I'm only doing high end for the rest of my life. And every part of the pyramid is necessary. You need entry level breeders. You need pets that are like nice. You need like cheap ones. You need all of them because everyone's in a different spot. Sometimes you need to buy like, I don't know, a het DG female that don't normal because you just that's what you're gonna do. It's fine.
You should be
Everything's
working.
Fine. Yeah, you should be
5-year
progressing.
goals.
Yes.
Your goals in 5 years should not be to be producing the most bells in the Pacific Northwest. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, or the most, single gene pieds in the Northwest. Like don't make that your goal. RN, have you calculated the price that it costs you to produce
to make a crested gecko?
In that range, and how much including how much it costs to feed them for 6 months.
Right.
Because that's how you want to figure out if you're actually making the money. And then you have to figure out if you're making enough to pay yourself for that time. Because yes, we can all make money. We can all profit and be bringing in more than we're putting out, but you have to also remember your time. So like when we did our rat episode, Jessica lays it all out. Is it worth it to breed your own rats? And yes, for the money going out and the money coming in, it on paper, it is 100% worth it. But Jessica has a master's degree and she's like, I'm paying myself, what was it? I can't even remember. It was like $7 an hour to clean rat shit, which you can go down to Mickey D's in Washington and make $15 an hour flipping burgers. So did you really make money or didn't you? And so that's
right. Unless you don't want to work at McDonald's, and it doesn't matter. Right.
I worked at McDonald's when I was 16. Ooh, that's some scary shit.
Aaron says that they think the cost to produce the gecko, like food wise, is $20.
Oh, that's awesome. Then you're doing fantastic. Keep it up. Yeah, $100 to $200.
Right. Like so, like if you want a high touch business, as long as you're making money and you want to touch that many customers and do the labor of that many animals, I just don't think it matters. And I think people who say like the whole system's collapsing today, I think they're wrong. I am genuinely happy to buy snakes still. I'm happy to breed them. It's just like, do you want a ton of low end coming into next year? Maybe not. You want to have stuff that, you know, is fulfilling to you, is a good high end project, and you're happy to sit on for 6 months to get the price because you like it and it's worth keeping. That's just what I think for this coming year.
I'm trying to produce less and make the similar or more amount because I'm in school full time and taking care of, well, it was my full-time job before, and taking care of 250 snakes when you're a full-time parent and a full-time snake breeder is fine. But when you're doing 15 credits and you're a single parent now, and you're also trying to have a podcast and run a business and go to shows and do all this thing, 250 snakes becomes, I mean, their quality of care goes down a great deal because, oh, they're fine. They're in their tubs. You know, that's not the kind of ethics or snake care that I want to give my animals. And so
I want like 10,000 snakes. Does that make me a bad person?
No, because this is your full-time career.
Right. I dedicate a full shebang.
You know, almost all of your attention. And you're also, I mean, you also have a kid, but they're in school now. So it can get more of your attention. And so that's completely fine and ethical.
Kids in school.
Kids in school. Woo! This week's half days. That sucks. Anyway.
Yeah, and Tutti Frutti is correct. Like, you can make pets doing a pairing. So that's why, like,
you can make byproduct.
An ideal scenario.
Right. Yeah. You got to scroll over.
Like,
there you go.
You're making stuff for you. You're making
this
good
is her
stuff
layout
to sell.
Of one clutch.
If you made some accidental extras for $100 or $200, that's your pet price, and it's still more than $68. But your average is still fine. You're doing fine. You're on target to make enough money. I mean, $2,500 is pretty good. I just don't know if we have to be like, if you're not doing this, you're a bad person. Fuck you. We should be encouraging to hang in there. All the little kitties in the pool. I think.
Oh, and Chris chimes in. Jessica does most of the work. True. I bet her layabout husband is still in bed. That's not what I said, Chris. And we love you.
Chris does a lot of work.
He does a fucking ton. Stuff. And he is serving his country and keeping us all safe. He's in the Air Force, and he keeps the lights on while she plays with her snakes, which sounds really messed up. I don't know how to put that differently. I'm sorry. That just fell out of my mouth. And then I was like,
that's the real really scam around here, is that I managed to trick someone into letting me run around in the garage with.
I know you guys are all asking for me to make blowjob sounds, but apparently somebody's got it clinched in over there.
I think he's just gullible. You know, I just talked his ears off. And he's like, fuck, bitch, shut up. I'll marry you, I guess.
She does let him have really cool cars. Does he have a new one yet, or not?
We did buy a new car, but he...
No. I mean a Project Fun man car.
Oh, no. Still just a Viper. Okay. That was enough of that shit. I'm just saying, I'm holding. These are diamond hands, right? Or hodling, right? I think it's fine. Snakes are great pets. They're so much better than most other pets. You want a bearded dragon?
Are so
much work. God. Geckos and snakes.
Bearded dragons are adorable, but that's the most diva pet in the
they are adorable. I'm just saying it's too much work.
They're literally a child. There is much work and as much money as a fucking child.
Okay, Jana. How did you do at the show? Let's talk about that first quickly since it came up in the chat.
Hang on, I just have to get back to our show notes. So is it okay if I break it down? Is that going to offend anybody? Whatever.
I don't know.
You.
Just do whatever you got.
So for the show, I did 2,300 in sales, and you have to remember, guys, that my kid is at my table doing business with me, and I haven't broken down how much of that's mine and how much of that's hers, but the kid cleans up. Let's just say if she ever insisted that I give her the full profit, I'd be a broke bitch. That's all I'm saying. So she does really well at shows. Most of the time she outsells me, especially in the current market. But I also
you. It's like total dollar amount?
Dollar amount.
Chris Hare, you're listening. He wouldn't let me buy from Alibaba. I was going to order like, 10,000 bracelets or something. He's like, no, you're dumb. And I'm like, I'll just put them on the side. I won't even do like a kid's corner. I'll just be like,
no, I'm telling you, Chris, it is half my profits every show.
Yeah, Chris.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
And you could bring your kid and he could just stand there and be obnoxious and people love it. Anyway,
he could hug people.
Yeah, he could hug. Oh my gosh, he would be like, I love you. Oh, I would buy everything you had. He's so cute. Anyway, so 2,300 in sales of the show. I had already brokered a deal to sell a breeding group. And so I got the second half of my payment for that, which was $2,500. And then I wholesaled $500 worth of animals. So I made $5-ish K this weekend. So take that as you will. Some people be like, that doesn't count. That was wholesale, or that was a prepaid sale. But this weekend I brought home what, 5,300. So, I also didn't tell you how much my hotel cost and how much I drove or whatever that, but I consider this weekend a $5,000 profit weekend, which is the same that I did in Spokane. And if I can keep doing that, then I can keep going to college.
$500 profit or $500. How much of that was resold inventory? I keep asking you that because it's important. Because if you spent $500 on it and you sold it at the show for $400 on that line item, you technically lost money, even though you cash flowed again.
So the group of highways, I did not produce.
Okay. Do you think you, with the original purchase price, I mean, you obviously didn't calculate it, and like estimated food cost, sold them for more than you bought them for, or about what if you're taking
cost for what you have into them, but also what you've gotten out of them, like babies, do you take into account the babies that they've given you? Because I do when I do my lines.
So no, because if you spent $500 on a snake and sold it 2 years later for $200, that's technically a depreciable loss on your taxes for just that animal. So like in your mind, if you're like being like, I bought this, you can actually take that loss as a depreciation if you're keeping track of the
right. But if you bought the baby, if you bought it as a baby and you grew it up to adult size and you paid $300, which is the baby price, and you sold it at the adult price, which is like $1,000, even if you fed it for 2 years, you're still in the green.
Right. You couldn't take that as a depreciation. I'm just asking, like, were there animals that you lost money on that animal? Not if it ever bred.
No, not if you're not, even if you're not counting breeding. I did not lose any money.
Okay. That's all. Because some people are like, I made $5,000 this weekend, but they were just reselling stuff they bought last year. And they maybe sold a little bit more expensive because it's older, but it's.
So the only thing that I
sold, their $5,000 back.
Right. The only thing that I sold that I did not produce myself was my highway breed group. And I came out ahead in that sale because I had several members of that breed group that I had bought as babies, and they were now selling as like adult price. So I did not lose money.
Too soon, Kaiju Constrictors. I still cry every time I watch that docu-series about Herbalife ruining people's lives. If it's ruining your life, you shouldn't be doing it. Like if it's so hard to get in, or it costs too much, or you don't have the time to take care of animals.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I need to, the plastic crap that we're talking about, the kids stuff, I need to quit talking about how much money I make on it, because at this show, there were so many people that just had a couple of plastic craps next to their snakes, because apparently they're listening. I'm talking to you, Powerhouse.
Oh,
Don't think I didn't see that.
well, people need to start selling things that they make themselves, or that they have someone in China make for them, like custom,
I mean, for
or
sure.
3D prints or whatever, like custom.
There is a 3D printing station now, and they run the 3D printer at the show. It's fucking cool, and they make like jointed snakes, like a skeletal snake, but it doesn't look like a skeleton, but it's 3D printed, so it's like all linked together. It's badass. I'm like, I need to get into that. Also, my child is like, we need to get a cotton candy machine. And I'm like,
I thought vendors couldn't sell food anymore at that show because the concessions people were mad.
Didn't you have like chocolate candy bars on your
right
table?
And Jeff sent out the most recent email. He's like, you can't give out free candy or sell chocolates because it's competing with the concessions, and they asked us not to.
No, I didn't read that one. I'll have to ask.
Swear to God. Jeff, someone check.
Oh, I do take imitation. I was literally just giving Powerhouse a rib. We're good friends, and my feelings are not hurt. And I think he knows that. Like, I was just, he had my kid, it was her idea to bring snake slap bracelets to the show, and she sells out every show. And we were chatting as I walked
kids
back.
like slap bracelets
with little snake heads on them. They're freaking adorable, and we sell out every show. Anyway, he had some on his table, and so I thought I'd rib him publicly, just for funsies. Like, we're totally cool. Keep doing what you're doing. Like, it's not a big deal. But yeah, our shows are doing fine, in my opinion. Like, it made it worth my while to be there for the weekend, even if you don't count. Even if you say
I count it because like you wanted to move it, and so you needed to move. It's fine, right? It's fine. I just mean like
everything else that I sold on my table, I produced. And so I'm really happy with that. I am not sad about that at all. It paid for my weekend. It paid for my next semester of school. We're good. Plus I have stuff that I'm going to
immediately go out and buy a hypo puzzle.
I did not immediately go out and buy a hypo puzzle. But I am putting it all in my savings account. And then this show, I don't have to pay state taxes, but I need to go and look at how much I owe. And then if there's enough, because I wanted to get my bank account back to a certain number, if there's enough, then I'm going to look at getting some snakes. I don't know. We'll see.
Not a kiki?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how much money I made.
Wow. Ignoring the highway group, did you think like that a certain percentage were pets or mid-tier or high tier, or was all pets? And ignoring obviously the toys.
Everything I sold, with the exception of 2 females that I sold, went to pet people or pet people with aspirations of breeding. You know, the people who are like, oh, it's het pied, and it's a male, and it's like yellow belly pastel het pied, and they're like, ooh, he's gonna make beautiful babies, but they don't have a female pied or anything. You know, like the people who are just starting to get there, but they're not quite doing it right yet.
Right.
So I consider those pets. But if you technically want to call it, they're probably calling themselves like future breeders. But
and they could be. They'll just
they absolutely like. I started off doing it wrong. I'm not saying that that's not a process we have all experienced, because I definitely have. But I would say they were all pet, and then the ones that I wholesaled will go to a pet store. So I didn't see a lot of vendors shopping, or they did, and then they were hemming and hawing, and they were waiting to do more sales, and then they didn't come back because I don't think that many people did above what I did, like the 2,300.
But they didn't have a ton of extra money, so they weren't like running around in the show to buy something else.
Yeah, unless you're Powerhouse, who won the freaking, like, what is it, 50-50?
What did you do?
Dirtbag. The USR 50-50.
Oh, now he's rich.
Now he's rich. Yeah, like jerk. Anyway, and so like I don't feel like there was a lot of trading happening, but I wasn't looking to bring home any more snakes. So I don't know. I wasn't doing that. Although I did bring home animals, and I never do. I'm usually like so freaking good.
What did you bring home?
I brought home a hognose, and I am obsessed with her. But she's not mine. She's my kid's. I've been promising her hognose for like 2 years, and she's been working her ass off. And
did she buy it with her show proceeds?
With show money, for sure.
Okay.
And so I normally pay her because she doesn't like to reinvest. She just wants money. And so after the first show, she decided not to, so she had to pay me back for what I had invested into her product, because I made her break it down like a real business. And I was like, this is how much money it costs to get your setup and to get all your product. And if you have to pay me back for that. Plus you need to take part of your profit. And I was like, you should put 50% of your profit back in to buy more product. And she was like, bitch, I'm holding, like, it was like $250, which is the most a 10-year-old, my 10-year-old had ever held in her hand. And it was all in like ones and freaking, I mean, it was like this big of a stack.
Yeah,
And
it'd be like orgasmic,
like,
probably.
she's like, whatever, I'm buying myself that high-tech tablet that you wouldn't buy me. And I'm like, okay, well, if you don't reinvest, I was like, I'm going to reinvest what you gave me to pay for my initial investment. And we had split the profits or something. I can't remember. And I was like, I'm putting all that money back into the business rather than giving it back to myself. So I've been the one that's reinvesting in her product. And so she only gets like a percentage of it now, which is fine because I keep all her money. Totally ripping my kid off. Is this slave labor? Probably. Anyway.
I won't tell.
And so after the last show, she was like, I would like to take my profits and reinvest so that I could get a larger percentage. And I was like, there you go. Now you're seeing it. Now you're understanding how business works. And so I think when she's like a little older, like 12 or 13, that I might like completely give it back to her, because A, it was her idea, and B, she's the one that works that side of my booth. I don't. But 10 is a little bit young to really understand that like that girl could pay for her college doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, like if we were putting it in a bank account for her for later, like not a lot of kids at 10 years old have the opportunity to rake in $1,000 at 6 or 7 shows a year. And she does at least that every show. It's crazy. And so for now, I mean, once she starts reinvesting, I will absolutely let her have her own profits. But
yeah, I don't know if I would give a kid $500. Just feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like that they're kind of spending on candy.
Well, she asked if she could buy 30 pounds of candy on Amazon. She like Googled it.
Right.
Where can I buy the most candy? And like bulk 30-pound bags came up. And I was like, bitch, please.
I know.
You are not. And she was like, but I need a candy stash. And I'm like,
do you?
Unless you're paying for your diabetes medicine and your dentist's costs, and she's due for braces. Like, I'm like, girl, no. Anyway, so she bought herself a new tablet, which she kind of needed. And so now I can't buy her that for Christmas. But hey, if she wants to buy her own technology, kids go through tablets like air. Like, I have to get new ones for them like every 2 years.
Double
all
junior.
the hog noses. She does want to be a hog nose breeder.
Junior.
What?
She's a junior.
I don't know. What
you don't
means.
get it? Jeff Galewood is Jeff Galewood Jr. So if she's a baby Jeff, she's a junior.
All right. I'll take that. I mean, I just think that it's just nothing but positive for her to be experiencing this. And I didn't have that kind of an opportunity where I could like have someone that knew about business.
Instead of being tortured at like McDonald's or Arby's or something.
Right. So she did that. She does want to be a hognose breeder, but the projects that she's interested in and the snakes that she's been begging me to buy for the last 2 years are all over 2,500, because she's really into the lavender albino.
Save up.
And that's what I was trying to tell her. I was like, I will spend this much money on a snake, and if anything above that, I was like, you're welcome to spend your own money, because she does have like hundreds of dollars. Sometimes she takes it to school, and I'm like, you're an idiot. I'm not replacing money that your friends steal. Like, you're dumb. But there was like a book fair, and she wanted to buy some books because she's really into books. And anyway, this is like way off topic, but girl makes some money, and it's really cool to watch. And she should buy some hog noses. Oh my gosh. So she picked up this hog nose, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it immediately played dead. The full Monty, like you see on YouTube, with like the and like flipped over and the face was flat. Oh my gosh, she was so cute. And I just was like instantly in love and like trying to play it cool, you know? And I was like, oh yeah, that's cute. And I'm inside, I'm going, oh my gosh, I'm dying. Anyway, she was like, Mom, this snake is mine and her name is Pancake. And I was like, yes, she is.
Okay.
And
I'm glad you finally got another colubrid.
Yes.
They aren't the easiest snakes in the world to breed. They're easy to keep.
I have zero plans to breed, and you guys can all make me eat my words in 2 years or whatever.
Yeah, she's totally breed them tonight.
Zero. She's a baby, and I did get the person that I bought her for was like, you're a breeder. I won't sell you a male. You need to buy a female. Like, you know better. And I was like, no, this is just a pet. I'm not going to be breeding them. And they're just like, okay, Jana. Okay, that's cute. Here.
You're drunk. Yeah.
You're drunk. Get out, but
there's no reason not to buy a female anyway, because your kid might hate at your guts when she's 14 or something and be like, I don't want this. And you're like, I don't want to breed it either, but at least it could have some utility at that point.
Yeah, I mean, they were very smart, and they were like, you want a female, and let me get you one that's like at least got a het, like
right.
And so it's a Conda het albino, and like I didn't care, but she's so cute, and I didn't think I was gonna like her, but
why wouldn't you like it?
Oh my gosh, I love her. I am more obsessed than my child, and she is the cutest thing. If you have not held a hognose in real life, I may have died. It was the best experience I've ever had. Anyway, and then my middle child is isopod obsessed, and she has a bioactive with all her little isopod buddies in it. And I told her, that your pet tank can also have other pets in it besides the isopods. And she's like, what? And I'm like, that this is an empty tank with bugs in it, right? And she names all her little isopods, and she can tell them apart. Like all her little milky cows have their own names. She's adorable. So we got her some frogs, and they are fun too. Oh my gosh, they're so much fun. Like ball
what kind of frogs?
Don't do that. They're dart frogs. I'd have to look up.
Okay.
Like blue cobalt or something. They're really cool.
From Josh's Frogs?
From Josh's Frogs, yep.
Right. Yeah, well, I'm glad she's expanded her horizons.
I'm totally gonna jack her hognose.
I think maybe, ball pythons I still find and cool, but always in the end, everyone except for Justin, like singularly, has other stuff too, and it's fine. That's fine. That puts less pressure on the ball python market to be the peakiest pyramid, and you can have fun with whatever. So
I do want to expand to other breeds. I've heard that hognoses aren't the easiest.
Right, we'll do something else.
Yeah, they're so cute.
Whatever you want, whatever you're interested in. And you can do hogs too. It just all snakes are cool and all lizards are cool. Just lizards take more work. So fuck it. All right, Jana, I think we did that part.
Sorry, guys, that was way too long. Yeah, I'm sorry, I got excited.
A little bit of retrospective, because this is our technically our 1 year anniversary. Wow.
Oh, we should have said at the beginning. Yeah, sorry guys.
I know,
it's our 1 year anniversary. It's episode 53. That means that we've done 53 weeks of episodes ish.
Right. I think our first episode last year came out November 3rd. So in terms of hitting.
Right, but we recorded it at this time of the year. And we did it. We made it a whole year. We hit our goal. Our goal was 52 in a year, and we did that. I don't know how. It was all because of Jessica dragging me to the plate every week. Now she doesn't have to drag. Do you get more sleep now that you don't have to worry that I'm going to show up? Or do you still
there was a time there where I was pretty sure you were going to leave, to be
really?
honest. Yeah.
Oh,
you were doing personal stuff, so I'm not blaming you.
She doesn't blame me, guys. But the band's not breaking up yet. Yeah, so we have some stuff on here. You want to go first, since I've been talking for 30 minutes straight?
Okay. My favorite episode was the Joe episode, which would make him my favorite guest, also by default.
That was pretty awesome. So I wrote down my favorite episode and my favorite interview.
Okay. What's your favorite episode?
Hang on. I'm looking at my notes, people. Don't hate.
Thank you, Will Tell Heat. Yeah, we're just literally just fucking around. And I appreciate anybody who wants to hear us fuck around. And I hopefully we help people a little bit sometime. Either be happier or more confident or take care of their snakes better. That's all I want in my whole life.
Oh, Morph Mechanics is here too. We're getting all the local people. Wow, we're getting some love. That's so awesome. Thank you guys. A bunch of the guys in here are from our show, the people who've ended our show.
Are you the cool kid at the show yet or no?
Stone Age came up to me and was like, hey, it's our famous girl. And I was like, literally looked around and I was like, are you talking to me?
I know. Who are you talking to?
I was literally who am I standing next to that's famous? And I was like looking around for somebody famous. And he started laughing. He was like, you have a podcast and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I do. And he's like, we haven't been formally introduced, because I knew him online. I just didn't know him by his face. And I was like, oh yeah, I know who you are. And I was like, but why am I famous? And he just laughed and walked away. And I was like super confused, because guys, I'm not famous. Somebody else told somebody else that I was a big deal in the industry, and I laughed until I almost peed my pants. Like, I mean, I thank you for thinking that
those moments.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was like super sweet and from a sweet place. It wasn't like, but it was like, oh, I'm not anybody, you guys. But that's adorable that you think that, and I appreciate it. And please come up to the show and talk to me. But Jessica and I are not famous. Okay, so my favorite interview.
Infamous, maybe.
What?
Infamous, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe if I win, Snakes and the Fat Man. If you vote for me, vote for me. We'll be putting links and stuff below when it comes out in 2 weeks.
Or Gray Family Snakes.
Or Gray Family Snakes.
If I voted for Gray Family Snakes and you, would you be mad at me? Can't you vote once a day? Okay. I guess vote for Jana.
Super mad. No, just vote for me. Okay. Love you. Love you, Lori. You're beautiful. Vote for me.
I know. Okay.
So my favorite interview would have to have been, obviously everyone knows, Chris Eaton. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on his contest, because he doesn't have any control over his contest.
I will never be able to trust any of your opinions from now on, because you're
because I'm biased until the contest is over. Literally, he has nothing to do with the contest other than he's hosting it. But
so yeah, I guess he doesn't have like the tiebreaker vote anymore.
So right. So you're
technically out of it.
The reason that was your favorite episode is because he's the reason that you started this podcast. He's what you modeled the podcast after. You
no, really it's not.
It's not. Oh, you did it after.
I'm so
sorry. I'm talking about your favorite episode, your interview.
Right. Show. I didn't model it after him because he's an interview show. I modeled it after like Paleo View or like Hello Internet. Oh, but he's just like his like ethical center or whatever resonates with me in a way that I can like any podcast, but there was just something about him that he was my favorite. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, no. And so it was a big deal for us to interview him. Like, he was like on your to-do list.
Yeah, and I needed the catharsis because he left, and then I was like, like, what happened afterwards? Where's the rest of the story?
Right.
Because it's more about the relationship. The parasocial relationship, right? It's not a real relationship, but you have like an imagined relationship.
Like, you guys have an imagined relationship with us that you think that we're all sitting around having coffee and we're besties, which we totally would be, but you're not actually sitting here and we don't actually know you very well. So, well, some of you, I guess the guys and people in the circuit,
that's sort of almost different.
That's totally different. We actually are friends. But listen, so Chris Eaton, we got a message. I think I got one and I think you got one, or maybe you got one and you sent it to me and I was like, shut up, bitch. That didn't happen. He messaged us and he was like, because it's Chris Eaton episode. He messaged us and he was like, I've been listening to your show. And this is when we had like 10 people listening, right? So like we just literally were talking to each other. And if 10 people showed up to listen, all year, that was a win, right? And he was like, oh, I listened to it. It was so good. If you want, you guys, I'll come on and, like throw my weight behind you or whatever. And that was a huge deal for me because I feel like up until that point, I was just talking with Jessica. Like, we were just two friends talking like we had in our driveway. And I mean, I wanted people to listen. I wanted to, help people understand biosecurity. I wanted people to hear two women talking about the industry. Like, I had these wants, but I didn't have any sort of expectation of them being fulfilled. But
they were fulfilled the first day one person downloaded and listened to the whole thing.
Maybe. I know. And I'm saying, like, we were doing it and it was fine. But in my brain, I didn't take it very seriously. Like, I just thought we were two friends talking, and maybe
Jana needs outside validation.
I need outside validation. And so when he messaged us out of the blue, like, we didn't seek him out. We didn't ask him to listen. We didn't like chase him down for an interview.
No, it was Shane. Turns out Shane is like the best cheerleader around.
Shane heard us, and he's such a cheerleader for us. We love you, Shane.
Yeah, so he went out and he went to bat.
God he's a he's a good guy. He's our buddy. He's like really good friends with Chris Eaton, and he called him up and he was like, "Are you listening to these ladies? They're actually pretty good." And
I
so
know. Thank you, Shane. I don't know why.
I don't know why.
Hopefully,
I
we
don't know
don't
why he likes
disappoint
us.
him one day so badly.
I don't know how we don't disappoint him on the daily. But anyway, Shane hooked us up, and then he listened and he messaged us, and I was so excited. You know, there were some people in my life that were like, "Oh, he just wants to come on your podcast because you got big boobs," and it's like at the time, you know,
maybe it was fine. I guess
I never even showed my boobs because it made my ex really uncomfortable. So they were always covered before this. And I don't even know if I had announced on the show yet that I was separated and getting a divorce. And so he didn't even know I was single. Jessica's very married and very not interested. You know, like
extremely married.
People who were like, "Oh, he's just coming on because you're hot and have big boobs." Well, thank you, because I do and I am. But at the time, like my ex is very conservative, so
right.
Hello.
And we weren't doing video anyway. It was all audio. So
it was all audio, so it's not like he was getting an eye full of my boobs. I do that now because I don't have to respect my husband because he's been kicked out. And they're my boobs. If I want to show them to the world, I get to. So that really hurt my feelings because I feel like that was something we really earned, is that people should be listening to us. People should be enjoying it, because I listen to every single episode we do, even though I participate in it. And that might sound arrogant, but I enjoy it. When we were doing, well, we're going to talk about that in a minute, but anyway, and so that episode really made me feel like all the work that we had put in really did matter. And even though I knew that, it validated that. Like you said, I need outside validation, I guess. But in my brain, I was like, what we're doing, people are eventually going to hear us. And that was the first time that I had realized that, because up until that point, I felt like, free the boobies. Yeah, no, literally for 15 years, the boobies were put away. So
it's so sad, actually.
They hardly ever get put away now. You're welcome, guys. And so for me, that was a turning point for me, because it's like, Jessica, she drags me along. Let's all say it. We all know I'm the dead weight, and she has literally got me by the hair, and she's dragging me along, kicking and screaming while she does all the work. And up until that point, I was showing up because I love Jessica, not because I love the podcast, or not because I thought we were going to make this huge difference. I wanted to tell my story. I wanted to tell my Nido story. I wanted to put the information out there, but I had no expectation anytime soon that anyone would be listening. And that was the moment that I realized that my perspective was wrong. And that was the moment that I realized people are listening. People are going to listen. And like, we need to keep doing what we were doing, like that it mattered, and that it really mattered to me. And so, oh yeah, totally happy reason to be divorced. I could go on for hours. That's like a whole nother episode. But the divorce is welcome and wanted, and you guys are enjoying the the seeds of that. So that episode was really changing for me. Not even that it was Chris Eaton. And I mean, it was a really good episode. I enjoyed it. It was also one of the first episodes after I'd split up with my husband that I felt like I could really be myself. Even Jessica was like, Jana, you got to reel it in. Got to reel it in a little, you know, because I was like.
Everyone knows who Amy Schumer is, right? In the chat. We had like the Amy Schumer talk. It's like, how much is too much? And is that enough? And is that okay? And
yeah, she had to tell me. Like,
I'm aware. I'm aware.
I understand that you're like coming out of a like a
I
cage.
don't know how much Amy Schumer's the correct amount.
Right. And she was like, girl, you cannot fuck the whole audience while we were doing a podcast. But
I mean,
for me,
you can probably, if you want to try. It depends on how many people are in the chat, right?
But for me, that episode like was really transformative to me, because I was in a really transformative place. You know, my ex had moved out, and I felt like we were finally being heard and recognized for the work that we had been doing. And I felt like I was coming in more to myself, and I had my boobs out and I had makeup on. My ex hated makeup too. And I don't know. It was just like a really important episode. Am I your
ex?
Are you my ex?
Let's get meta here.
You mean like personality wise?
Yeah, or something like that.
Absolutely.
Like a weird substitute for your ex. Is this what's happening right now?
Yes.
All right, let's get married. It's fine. I'll
Except for that you would make me put my boobs away and you would actually fuck me.
Yeah, I think all women are beautiful no matter what amount of boobs they want.
Yeah, if Jessica and I hooked up, we would have a lot of sex. So I think that it would be, you're like an upgrade, but yes, you have the same personality as my husband.
It all makes sense now.
Except for that you're not an asshole. Except for
I am kind of.
Yeah, you kind of are. Yeah. I love you though. I love you, darling. And so for me, the point in time that we did that episode and the significance it had to me in my brain and how I thought of what we were doing was very impactful. I feel like at that point, that's when I started really driving you nuts. And you may have equated that to my friendship with Chris Eaton, but it really was like me coming into my own and me realizing like this actually matters to me. And like I had just been letting it be your thing and wanting it to be our thing. And I mean, we're still elbowing that out behind the scenes, but like that's when I like actually showed up and really started caring, even though it was really annoying to you. Like that for me is when
it wasn't annoying. It's just like a
really big
growing pains process where it's like I don't care what % you want to dictate behind the scenes. It's just like, how do we manage that? And that's why, like, I don't know, you watched Reptiles Unplugged where like MJ and Dave Levison are like having a very live like discussion about is the other one not asking enough questions or whatever. You can tell there's like a conflict of style when he was interviewing Justin, and it's fine. Like obviously two people have different ways of interviewing and different ways of like broaching the next topic, and one wants to take a break and talk and chat. It's totally natural, and you just have to figure it out. And then we just have to keep figuring it out as people.
Well, I mean, and if you haven't noticed by now, Jessica and I are black and white. We could not be more different. We could not be like further away on most subjects. We do not agree on the way.
That's not true. I think we agree on most subjects. It's just some things we don't agree on. I think we come to an
agreement, but I think that we're very different in how we do things. I think that we have similar like base ethics and base like politicals and stuff, but
like if you wanted to give Snakes Night on purpose, I don't think we would be friends. So like the base things that actually matter,
the foundational shit's the same,
but it's just
but
like,
it comes out in like
how
a way
we think or whatever is different, right?
For sure. Trust me, I know. I was married to one of you, and we do not speak the same language most of the time.
Alex says we've experienced large amounts of growth.
Oh.
Not that kind of growth though, Jana.
Not this kind of growth?
Yeah, I think we sucked ass for like 20 episodes or something.
I don't think it was 20 episodes. The first 5 were really rough. But that's because
episodes we've sucked ass. We've finally hit our stride.
Yeah, I don't agree with you there. And she keeps thinking that. But I don't ever since that, I don't think that anymore. But
listen, nobody wants
the first 5
somebody
episodes
self-aggrandizing. It's all about that self-deprecation.
Whatever. I am amazing and you're welcome. So the first few episodes, so like I said, we had always just talked in Jessica's driveway and just talked and talked, just like we're talking to you guys now. We talk about the industry, we talk about breeders, talk about, you know, what's on YouTube or what's happening on Instagram. Literally the conversations that we have while you guys are here are conversations that we would have had anyway. And Jessica was like, oh, everybody would love to hear these. And I was like, what the fuck? Nobody gives a fuck what 2 women are saying, like literally. And she begged me for months. And then we came on. And then because you're recording it, it becomes weird instantly. So like, it's like you're at college and you know,
it's also harder because there's like a topic and because we like picked a structure.
Right. Well, it's like being at college and you know your roommate slept with the same guy as you, but on a different day, and you both know that you slept with the same guy, and you're out having coffee in the morning, and there's just the elephant in the room and nobody wants to talk about it. Like that's how it felt. So we were just trying to figure out our space while being recorded and while having like structured topics and knowing that people were going to listen maybe eventually in 10 years. And so like the first couple of episodes, the dynamic between us was bad because we were like elbowing each other in the face and like, where's my space?
Talking over each other a lot. I actually edited out a lot of the talking over, and there's still a lot in there.
So I grew up the youngest of 9. I don't know if anybody knows this or if I've talked about it before. And if you wanted to be heard or have a say in the conversation at hand, you just talked all at the same time. So I can hold like 4 conversations at once because of this. But it drives Jessica nuts, and it used to drive my ex nuts. Am I speaking from experience?
Your example about the two roommates slept with the same guy and are getting coffee is so specific. It must be from experience.
Oh, I never went to college. I'm just now going to college.
Okay, well, you'll do this next year, right?
And I won't be living in the dorms, and I have kids.
Oh, dang it.
But I totally would. No, I was a really good kid, like a straight lacer. And then I went wild for a couple of years, and then I was a straight lacer for another 15 years while I was married.
She's back to wild.
Back into myself, you know, and it's okay if I'm a little wild and a little slutty and my boobs are hanging out and I have makeup on. Like, those are okay things, and I don't have to apologize for them. But for the last 15, I've been a really good girl. So, Santa, what are you bringing me? The first few episodes was a lot of Jessica talking and Jana going, I'm not really sure what that is. That's very true. And that was what our conversations were always like, is I considered her like a mentor, like not like a mentor, like tell me how to incubate eggs, but a mentor as in Jessica has such a foundational knowledge of years and years and years in the industry. She has a foundational knowledge in biology. She has a foundational knowledge in things I never even think of. That's things I don't think other ball python breeders think of, because you don't have to be a geneticist to do ball pythons. You don't have to have a biology base. But the fact that she does, it brings like this whole other level to being a breeder. And just even hearing her describe morphs and what they look like and how they affect different things, it's very Justin-esque. And I'm not saying she's Justin Kabolka, but when he looks at projects and he thinks about adding genes in, he sees them the same way that Jessica
high
does.
Praise.
I'm serious.
I almost choked.
You have that same ability to look at it and imagine what effect it's going to have. So like when you're like, Jana, don't put Inchi in G-stripe clown. Jana, don't put leopard in G-stripe clown.
Well, maybe I'm like fantasizing that I have that ability.
Small Town Exotics just sent me a picture of an Inchi Kiki, and who was right? Who was right, people? In the comments below, who do you think was right?
Send me the pic. I need a pic.
She was right.
Yeah, sorry.
And so Small Town sent it to me on the DL because he was like, Jessica was right.
Uh-oh.
And I'm sending it to you. Hang on. And so, I mean, like things like that she can see that other people can't see. And yeah, I'm going to have to do it after the show because I can't talk and at the same time. Anyway, and so we had to figure our spaces out. I'm figuring me out. I had a big change in my life and an opportunity. Like, I take marriage very seriously. I take commitments very seriously. And so when you're in a marriage and you have kids, you try to do what you can to make it work and to not make the other person unhappy on purpose. And so, you know, if covering my boobs and not wearing makeup and not swearing made him more comfortable.
I love swearing.
It wasn't so much of my personality that I like, those weren't deal breaker things.
Listen, you're more fun to talk to for sure right now. Like now, post divorce.
I'm a lot more fun. I was very much
have
reserved.
Like a normal conversation like humans now.
Yes.
We had okay conversations before, but now you're more you. So that's good, right?
No, I'm very happy. I'm very happy
moving.
With that. Yes, it's all moving forward. So we're talking about the history of our podcast, year in review, because it's our 1-year anniversary. So that was my favorite interview. I guess I didn't put down my favorite episode, but I did put like the most popular, but you said that my numbers were wrong because of the bot.
Yeah. I wouldn't even worry about it. Like it was just a bot downloading the podcast on audio only. So I can't actually tell you what like the most downloaded for this year was, because the bot downloaded hundreds more times than anything else. It's probably the business one, Intro to Ball Python Business still, even though it's the bot. Right. But I wouldn't worry about it. On YouTube, the number one is the corn snake one.
Yeah, so right now our number one episode on YouTube is the corn snake one, which is like, what? We're not even like, I mean, we talk about other species and we always will, but the way we connected with ball pythons. So it's interesting to me that it's the other things, although there is a decided lack of those other species on YouTube. So maybe that's why.
I mean, podcasts don't do that great on YouTube anyway. If we just clipped all these into 5-minute segments by topic and then ported it somewhere else, they would do much better. But who has time for all that? You know.
D's balls sounds like a lame. No offense. My ex? I don't know. Use full sentences so I know what you're talking about because we were going pretty fast here. So, what was one of your favorite moments over the years from any of the episodes? Do you have one that stands out to you?
I didn't think of one, but share yours while I think of one.
Okay, so there was a couple for me. We did an episode last Thanksgiving that we named Turduncan, and we talked about like alternative feeding methods and feeding birds to ball pythons and colubrids. And there's this part where we're talking and it's Thanksgiving, about Thanksgiving feeding and how my kids are like, where's their Thanksgiving meal? And somehow Jessica and I came up with the like Turduncan, but you like put like a mouse inside of a chick inside of a, you know, other thing, and you feed it to your thing for Thanksgiving. And just like moments like that where we're just like riffing off of each other's things and cute things like how she named the episode, like Turduncan comes out of it. It's just super fun to look back on that and
Alex.
to remember how that happened and have a good laugh. Also, before we went live and before we went video, Jessica would leave Easter eggs for me because we would record like 3, sometimes 4 hours of talking, and she would reduce it to like 2.5. So
the good parts.
And so she would cut out my ums. Like she even knows if she looks at a recording of us talking.
It looks like a penis, by the way. I've never told you this until this moment.
See, it's nuggets like these, guys. You're getting it live.
Like the audio file of you saying it
when
looks like a penis, and so I just have to see his cock and balls coming at me, and I'm like, oh, let's just.
She just knows she can just look at the audio without listening to it and know that's where Jana said an M or an and so she would literally just cut those out, and she always made me sound so much smarter, and it was lovely. And also, sometimes we would go off on like really strange tangents, and I would be like, "Bitch, you're gonna cut that out, right?" And she's like, "Totally." But when the episode would drop, I would have to go listen to it because I never knew what she was going to leave in and what she wasn't. And I love Jessica and I trust her fully. And she always did a phenomenal job. And there was never a time where I was like, you did that wrong. Well, maybe once, only one time in the whole year that we've
made mistakes for sure.
And I said something I shouldn't, and she went and took it out. So those little Easter eggs that she would leave in for me. So when I was listening, I would just like start laughing so hard because she would leave in something so unexpected. Like one episode, I was like, oh, I gotta pee, hang on, bye. And she left that into the episode. Or sometimes at the very end of episodes, she would throw in just like a random clip taken completely out of context of like really weird shit. And it just made me laugh so hard. And she knew that I was listening, waiting for it. And so it's like she threw it in special just for me. And I'm sure other people enjoyed them as well, but literally it felt like an Easter egg hunt for me. And
yeah, it's something I like miss.
I miss that really a lot.
We've like Pandora's box is open. This is the exact way we talk normally with no corrections or fun. So there's no like sneaking off to take a shit and then coming back and then like adding in a weird statement while that's happening.
Or, you know, me saying, I got to go eat lunch, but really I've got a guy coming over for a quickie. Oh, hang on. My parents are here for some reason.
Oh, no.
Hey, I'm doing my podcast live.
Tell them to bugger off. Okay.
So
we're finishing up.
Just those little Easter eggs were always a pleasure. And so there are things like that throughout the episodes, throughout the years. Like if you guys are listening back or you haven't listened back, they're in there and they're just so funny. Or like sometimes one of our kids, because we used to record at night, our husbands would take the kids to sleep and we would come out and talk till the middle of the freaking night. So we were both like slurring and just sleepy. And she would usually have to like cut the last like 30 minutes off because we were completely like so tired, hysterical that you guys just wouldn't want to hear anything that we haven't said. But sometimes our kids would come out, and there's a couple episodes. I know one where your kid comes out and he's like, "I love you," and she put it at the end of the episode. And he would come out sometimes because he's a late sleeper, not like my kids. So he would be awake sometimes and he would come out and he would be like, "I love you." And he would tell me every time he saw me, "I love you." And so she threw that in at the end of the episode and it just like makes my heart. It's like so happy. And then there was another time my kid came out and we sing like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And then I had to go like lay back down with her and him come out like 15 minutes later. And she threw that in at the end. And so it's like, just there's some really special things to me that probably have value to no one else, that those things just make me really happy.
Jana, you're a real person with a life, technically.
I'm a real person with a life, with feelings.
Yeah, weird. Yeah, I think maybe it's bad, but like that's part of the relationship of the if that could like make the listeners realize that we're really trying hard and it's all edited together and cobbled weird, but there was like real people doing stuff.
Well, sometimes it was like 2 or 3 days of us trying to just grab an hour together, and she would cobble it all together so it sounded like we recorded at once.
Right.
In the very beginning, like getting our schedules to match was a nightmare, or getting our schedules to match and then 3 kids are screaming in the background.
Raymond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so those little nuggets were, that is what I miss most about not pre-recording, but I don't miss pre-recording.
Right. We're doing much better now in terms of YouTube, and not really. I mean, the downloads are the same, but the YouTube is doing better because there's something to look at, you know?
You're
there's
welcome.
A visual element. And boobies. So like I had wanted to do it sooner, like way before I moved. It's just my internet was slow and yours was slow. So we could never carry even a pre-recorded. I couldn't even pre-record and use OBS to download the stream. But now my computer's much faster. Thanks, Chris Hare. So
my computer's much better, and I upped our internet, and I've got a real microphone now, people. So like we've upgraded over the year.
Like a new microphones probably next year, like the next.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like we've grown as a podcast. We've grown in quality of materials and quality of time, but it was a real fight sometimes to get here. I mean, there's a couple of episodes where like Dayquil's in the name, but both of us got COVID individually and not from each other, even though we lived near each other. And we still showed up for our episodes. And like, that's how you know someone is really invested in something, is when they keep showing up week after week, no matter what. Even if it took us 3 days to record one episode, like we showed up. And so having those little nuggets in there reminds me of like what it actually cost us, and then hearing us sound smart when sometimes we don't. She always makes me sound smarter than I am, so I love that. I have no problem with my level of intelligence, and I'm fully aware of where it sits, and I'm at peace with that. I do not have a master's in biology. I am working on my RN, and that's cool for me. But when she talks scientifically, I don't always know what she's saying. But that's one of the reasons why I'm here, to learn and to help you guys translate if you don't know either. So it's a really cool dynamic that I enjoy and that I want to do another year of it. I mean, that's the next goal, is to get through one more year and to just keep chugging on. Now, let's talk about that from pre-recorded audio only to pre-recorded video to now we do lives. How do you feel about one versus the other?
Really quickly, Quirky Snakes asked if I have goats. No, I sold them all. They're probably tacos now somewhere in the mist. I moved into town, unfortunately, and I want to die each day.
Tacos. Yum, yum, yum.
I wish we had done it sooner. I don't know physically how we could have.
Yeah.
It was a little weird because we suck. But you just got to get used to it. We should have done it 2 years ago or something, before we even started podcasting. But I always like the pure audio only podcast the best. I do obviously listen to video podcasts too.
Right.
That was my jam. So like that was what I wanted to do, and it's very convenient to pre-record and edit. And we probably needed the like grace of editing.
Yeah, we needed it bad. I know I did.
We might
all those peanut thumbs needed to be taken out.
Right. So
it's
fine that it took us a while to get going, and it's fine. And then like we're not competing with anybody, and we're not excluding anybody, and we should have guests on, I guess, but the longer this goes on, I'm like, I'm not sure if we should ever have guests ever.
Never again. We will have guests.
Yeah, we will, but it's just like, it's not about guests. It's like The View. It's like dumb whores talking about their feelings, but it happens to be snakes and news and current events and whatever. That's a whole concept, right? You don't need guests to do that. And a lot of people are like, why don't you do more? I'm just like, I don't fucking know. I don't know. Because that's not what we're doing. We're talking about.
Yeah. So we aren't the same format as the interview podcasters. Like There are people who are doing it and they're doing a
Mhm.
great job at it. So that's not what we need to be doing. We are going to do a few a year. That has always been our goal. We knew it was always going to be something that we hit on. We need to redo Shane's very badly. And that was when we realized, and Jana went out and upgraded all her audio and her internet and all those things, because that was such a good interview. And it was so tragic, the quality of the audio. And anybody who suffered through that episode, thank you. I was really proud of that episode until we heard the audio, and then I wanted to cry. But
Right. I mean,
that helped us
we could have
realize that
shelved it and redone it, but we're not. It's hard for us to redo any sort of, like, 3 people need to meet up at one time the
and
first
also
time.
like
So I could hear
it would have been a
okay.
completely different episode if we had done it
Yeah.
again, because it's just like a natural evolution of
Or
thought, and so that you
conversation.
can't ever get that back. So I'm glad we didn't redo it, but it made me realize that I needed to take it more seriously, and I needed to be more invested in the quality of the equipment, which is
Mhm.
great. Like, I needed that. Like, it's been a slow evolution. We figured out how to do it. We figured out how to show up. We figured out how to talk better. We figured out how to talk together better. And then I realized, oh, I need a better quality. And then now I'm looking at our videos on YouTube and I'm like, oh, Jessica's right. My camera does suck. So my next step is to get a better camera for y'all.
Yeah.
And
It's not
so,
even your camera necessarily. If you just had slightly, like, a $20 Amazon light to fill in the dark half, or like a or whatever, it doesn't matter. We're on a journey.
we're on a journey.
You
Ooh,
can
is
get a
that
new
better,
camera
everybody?
too. Like, mine is my iPhone.
Ooh. Anyway, so it's been definitely a journey, and I feel like we're evolving naturally and incrementally. And so I think if you had come to me and said, let's do YouTube or let's do YouTube lives, I would have run for the hills. Like, you had to like slow boil me,
Mhm.
because if you had tried to stick me in that boiling pot of YouTube lives, I mean, like, how many weeks or months did it take you to talk me into the podcast? How many weeks or months did it take you to talk me into the video? How many weeks or months did it take you to actually get me to show up to a live and not be like, just kidding, I can't do it?
Yeah, it's yeah, it was a lot, but it's fine. You're doing good now, so we're doing it. Fuck it.
Dee's balls, I'm on the other side of the water from you. I'm in Port Orchard, so just over the bridge. Jessica was in Yelm.
Mhm. I think Chris answered a little
Oh,
later.
thank you, Chris. We were on a tangent. And
Yeah.
so I love that we do lives. I do miss the Easter eggs. I miss that she takes out all those ums that I just did, because I really do that in real life. That's how I actually sound. So I think you guys are getting a pretty
Yeah,
raw.
I've decided to stop editing it as intensely because I don't have, especially like today, I'm not gonna edit it, obviously.
Oh, I didn't know you were editing the video. I thought you were just editing the audio.
Yeah, I know. The video is still pure. I do edit the audio a little bit, but I'm probably gonna stop editing the audio because we're kind of consistent enough. It's probably
I don't
fine.
think you need to. Like, nobody in the comments is shouting that Jana said too many times. So yes, these balls. I actually am at Tacoma Community College multiple times a week. So we're very close, like 20 minutes. So I'm happy with where we're at right now. I think it's fitting in our lives better to do it live and just to upload it come as it may. It's a little bit of a pressure, so I can't weasel out of showing up because it's live. It's
Yeah, you can't reschedule.
no, you can't reschedule a
I mean,
weekly
you
live.
can, but like
But it just makes
with a
makes you
recorded
look.
one.
It better be really good reasons. So I like that. I like that I know exactly when it's going to be, so I can plan my week around not that space. And so for me, I'm very happy with the progression we've made, and I think that it fits where we're at. What about you, Jessica?
I want to move it to a night. Like I
Okay.
do. I just don't know how currently. So we'll just have to work on it.
Well, who does Friday nights, Saturday nights, Sunday nights?
Everyone.
Everybody.
Literally everyone.
Because my kids go to bed at 7, and that's 10 o'clock your time.
Right. So that doesn't work. It would have to be a night where your kids are with your ex and you have a night that you do not want to otherwise spend doing something sociable, right?
Friday nights and Saturday nights, I do not have my children. So we'd have to fight with somebody else's.
Yeah, that's what
podcast.
so it's hard. So I don't know which one to pick of those. Right in. But right now we're fine and it's in the clear. It's just like I do want to move to a night. There are a
So
lot
many
of reptile
factors.
lives right now. It's
Oh my gosh,
crazy.
so many. And we're like not trying to compete with anybody. Like,
right, I know
a lot of the big names say there's room for everybody, and I absolutely think that. I also think that we're different. I mean, there are some other people that are doing it like us, but we're an interview. We're not trying to compete with the big name interviewers. Like, we're just trying to do our own thing, two women talking and throwing in some biosecurity and in our perspective. And I think we're doing that. I think that people are hearing that it's okay to talk about biosecurity. It's okay to talk about disease testing. It's okay to two women having an opinion on the hobby. Like, I think that we've elbowed out some room for ourselves, and I feel really good about that. I think we've met all of our goals and blown some of them out of the water.
Yeah. My goal was always mostly like I have a conviction, and that is whatever disease biosecurity testing is the most important thing and is the first thing someone should learn when they come in, and it's not the thing that they should learn when they're 200 snakes in. And when I asked you in the spring to join, I asked you specifically because of the of a large
journey that I had.
No, a large breeder screwing over someone else, right? And then I was like, Jana, we have to do this because there's not enough public discussion about it. And you have an experience and I have an experience. And this is like a devastating piece of information about someone I thought was a respectable person. And they still are, but they just don't know that none of those people knew what they were doing. Right. None of the people who come here know. So like, and there was a lot of podcasts at that time. They were like, NITO's not really that big of a deal. It's kind of a deal, but not like it was very dismissive. So to me, it was like absolutely a response to like a dismissive opinion about the thing that even this week is killing snakes as we speak.
Right now, someone's quality is collapsing because they didn't.
Yeah, I know exact one. So like it's still happening. And then people were like, oh, well, Arena's not around anymore. This week, people messaged me, fuck off. Jesus Christ. Like, why was the narrative that it was, well, it's not a big deal anymore when it's a big deal every week, every minute, every new person. They're getting in. They don't know what to do. Somebody has to call them on the phone and cry with them as they euthanize their snake who's just wheezing everywhere. We still have to do this podcast because we didn't tell enough people yet. So fuck me. Balls. That was my conviction. Everything else is fine. I'll explain to you science stuff and cool like nature stuff. That's fine. But I'm just more interested in stopping what has happened to me and has happened to you and is still happening right now every day. Every other consideration, deep secondary. That's all. I don't know why I'm so excited right now.
Hey, when you want to be passionate, you go, girl. I know. Will support you fully.
You just bring your kids out. It'll make them happier again. Bring them out. Bring them out. Thank you. God, we need it. We just had some bad stuff happen last week, and I was like ugly crying at my computer. And my husband doesn't know this, but I was just like, I can't believe it. Fuck, it happened again. It happened again.
I know that you're seeing that it's happening again, and there's nothing we can do to stop it from happening again. But if you think about all the people that have messaged us privately, all the people that have watched the episode where you helped me tell my story, where you gave me the courage to tell my story, by telling your story in our very first episode, they've listened to that and they've heard that, and there has been so many people. Like, I was like, oh, if we help 10 people learn about biosecurity, you know, I've done my job for my whole life. And I feel like we've definitely helped more than 10 people learn about biosecurity, even if they don't even go on to test, as long as like we've laid a foundation for them to understand how disease is transferred and how they need to protect their snakes better, and how they need to, the methodology in which they need to be employing while cleaning their snakes. Like, I feel like we've made a huge difference and people have heard that. I also think that one of my main goals was to normalize biosecurity and disease testing in everyday conversation. And I think we've really managed to do that. We do talk about a lot of other stuff, but we throw it in there where it should be.
All the time, right?
Yeah, it's in there where it should be. When we're talking about, I had someone message me the other day, and I'm not in your face like Jessica is about disease testing. I'm very passionate about it, but I've never been an in your face kind of person. For me, it's like, here's the information, you do you. But biosecurity has been a big deal, like having it normalized. And so someone messaged me and they were really excited because we had talked about king snakes, and they were like, I want to get a king snake. What's your advice? And the first thing I said is, crypto test, because if you get a snake with crypto, because a lot of people recommend getting an adult king snake if you want them to eat any snakes that you have to euthanize from your clutches during the year. And if you buy a baby, they can't eat that snake. And if you're putting it in the freezer to save it for that snake, it's not going to be old enough before that stuff's bad. So most people want to get an adult. And if you're not planning to breed, they want to get an adult male. And what is the most at risk in every species for disease? The adult males. And so you got to test that for crypto. It's a great idea to have it. I have a trio, but I've tested them several times for crypto. They're not with my other snakes. They have their own equipment. And they have clean crypto tests, but I still, like, you have to understand that if you want to add something, you have to understand the full element of what you're taking on. And some people just want to keep their head in the sand. I've been that person. It's too much to think about. It's too overwhelming, but you do have to think about that. Because if you bring in an adult king snake and you don't test it, and you feed them from, you offer it to one snake and they don't eat it, or you offer it to the king snake and they don't take it, and then you offer it to one of your babies, you could collapse your whole colony of ball pythons just from that one thing.
But,
Oh yeah. Sorry. Happy thoughts. Here you guys go. Anyway, so
Aaron said, look at cord snake picture by ECW from Instagram. So I looked it up.
Oh, okay.
Is this the one you're talking about? So it's like a wild caught terrazzo? Right in. RN.
Jessica, is there a way to collect snake semen?
Well,
there has to be. AI snake breeding, I'm sure.
Usually when it's an animal that you can't motivate really strongly to like breed a dummy, like a cow or a horse. Have you seen that happen? Google that, everybody. Not when your wife's around, though.
Whoa, is that like a cow blow-up doll? And then they collect
they have a big dummy, right?
A
big dummy, yes. And it has a little fleshlight in it. And they bring a cow in estrus near it. So he thinks he's mounting her, but he's actually mounting the dummy. And then he has like a big sleeve procedure in there. And so he finishes his job as a man. And they like take that up and they can make straws of semen and then freeze them in nitrogen tanks. It's very normal. You could buy goat jizz, cow jizz, horse jizz, whole frozen embryos. In snakes, they will never breed a dummy and ejaculate on a dummy. To me, they need more motivation. So like when they try to get semen out of frogs, they'll usually anesthetize the animal and use like very low electrical stimulation to get the testy to release fun stuff. So they'd have to just suction it up. So, and if we probably don't have time because I have to go to a show, but we'll do the like, she'll be using CRISPR to edit snake genomes. And should we be using in vitro fertilization to do stuff? That's all interesting. It was brought up on the Canova episode, but I'm kind of running out of time here, Jana. What else we got?
Someone heard recently on an interview a big breeder say, if it sneezes, it freezes. I heard that. I can't remember who it was, but we don't need to say
I remember.
Oh, she knows. Are you going to call them out, or are you just going to let people figure it out? Yeah, there was an interview recently. If it sneezes, it freezes. I have no problem with that policy, but you can also
I do.
Them
I do
$25
because like why not figure it out? What if it's a mycoplasma like Dylan was talking about? What if it's bacterial? what if it's not viral at all? You could save
So-
a $25,000 stranger clown by just
So
checking it
the
out.
reason that I could get behind that is because he talked a lot about biosecurity, and he talked a lot about being conscientious of biosecurity, and he doesn't test because he thinks that it's a waste of time because you don't get a positive, even if it could be positive. Now, I don't agree with that. Obviously, we've talked about this in the past, but I like that he talked about biosecurity, and rather than risk his whole collection, he could just test, which is easier. Sorry, guys, my hat messed up my hair, but this is what you're getting. I'm getting hot. It's getting hot.
It's fine to be like,
I don't have
if
anything under this, so I
shows
can't take it off.
symptoms, isolate it. But that sounds like
Right.
isolate
You do
it
not
and
have
maybe
to
call
freeze it, but I prefer that over doing nothing or just leaving it in your ARS with the other 39 snakes. So for me,
but I think most people do that, right? Like that's the bare minimum. Like if it's wheezing, you obviously don't just keep going unless you're like the real white trash at the end of the street with the natty light. You know what I mean?
I mean, like I had freezered something that was.
No, I mean like people don't actively breed and maintain terrible conditioned animals and just be like, I guess this is fine. Like they're drooling. The normal behavior is to separate them and maybe call animals that are looking really bad, right? That's normal.
Mine was looking
what is the next level up? Figure out what's wrong with them.
Especially if it starts to spread and you haven't.
And it doesn't have to be a test. You could be like, I'm gonna spend the money for a fucking necropsy. I will call it and necropsy it. And figure it out. And then be like, what's going on in my colony? I didn't think it was like wrong sounding. It just wasn't next level sounding. Do we want to be next level breeders who have the highest in terms of management level of care, or do we want to be just don't ask questions that has a problem? I just guess. I guess. What is that?
Quirky Snake says, how long do you quarantine for crypto? Forever. That's the short answer. So the long answer is, if you are bringing colubrids into a ball python collection,
and ball pythons and boas,
everything can have it, but
yes,
especially if you're bringing in another species. It
kills emeralds all the time, the time. But it can harbor and kind of persist really well in the boas.
So Jessica has what we like to call a Noah's Ark collection of multiple species, but her multiple species all have a designated area in her home. And while house hunting, there had to be enough designated areas for her to bring all of her species. And so if you're going to bring additional species into your collection, be aware that they should at least have their own wall or something, and that they should have their own equipment.
Gloves
and they should have their own designated day that you interact with them, where you don't interact with other things, or you interact with them last.
The short answer is it can be in your snake undetectable by any fecal swab for years.
Right. So I have
and then it can like rear up and you'll detect it in a fecal swab. And that's not a problem with the test. It's just the infection does not produce a thick-walled oocyst that's meant to infect another animal.
Sloughing off. Right.
So
always quarantine at least 3 months, 3 to 6. Sometimes people quarantine up to a year. But
quarantine I like forever if you can.
Yeah. Part of biosecurity is a permanent form of quarantine. And so quarantine doesn't just mean that it's separate from your collection in another place. Quarantine means biosecurity and how you interact with that. And so if you interact with it on a different day, if it has its own tools, if you clean your tools properly when you're finished, if you don't take a rodent that you offered that biosecurity bubble, like my things exist in biosecurity bubbles. Like my hatchlings are a bubble. My holdbacks are a separate bubble from my hatchlings because those hatchlings go to shows. My subadults are a bubble. My adults are a bubble. And then within the adult bubbles, like the breed groups are like sub-level bubbles. And we've talked about this multiple times on other shows or other episodes. But
and we can talk about it again. Like
I guess we can do another biosecurity thing. But my colubrids, which I don't have many, I have 3 king snakes. They do live in my reptile room, which is not my reptile room anymore. Now they're in brumation, and I have a snake building, so they haven't been in my snake building ever, and they may not ever go out there. I haven't decided. They may come back in and hang out with like my show babies. I haven't decided. I'm still figuring that out. But they are their own biosecurity bubble. So I interact with those on one day, and then I have garter snakes that I interact with on their own day, or like I'll interact with them and then I'll go take a shower and start my whole day. But that tank has been taken care of. This right here next to me is my bioactive red-sided garter tank.
Hellhole tank is what you're saying.
She thinks it's a crypto
I was so
farm.
mean to them on fucking Sean's show, and I don't mean to be, because it's like fun, right? It's fun. Let's like elevate the care experience. But I get real fed up getting told that I'm doing a worse job taking care of my animals by choosing not to expose them to unknown and known pathogens than they having a pet tank with their fucking bullshit.
I have a pet tank.
Fuck off, by the way.
And she does not agree with that. But that's fine, because we don't agree on things.
I mean, your pet tank is for a project that if you lost those animals, you wouldn't be debilitated and you would leave the hobby immediately, right?
Correct.
Right.
And they are literally in their own sphere. And then once I changed my snake room into my bedroom, I sleep in my living room. Everybody, how's that for slumming it? Because I gave the bedrooms to my kids, and I'm just waiting to clean up the snake room for me. Anyway, they're going to always be in my bedroom because I like to watch them. I like to interact with them. I have them. They're my pleasure pet that's eventually going to produce pleasure pet that's eventually going to produce babies that I can sell. But you just have to think of it in terms of that biosecurity bubbles. And so you never want to feed your adults and then go feed your babies, because if those have unknown diseases or problems and then you go feed your babies, you could unintentionally transfer those to the babies. So you should be setting up your feeding schedules and your cleaning schedules so you're not interacting with different bio bubbles at the same time. And so I think since we're getting asked this, we'll do an episode in the near future about it again and just talk about it again. But she doesn't have time for me to go on her to go on a huge tangent.
Well, I guess do we want to do any news at all? Do we want to talk about what happened last night, or do we want to just save all the news for next week? I have to kind of go.
Yeah, she has to go.
I am bending a show, everybody. Please come out.
I want to ask the final questions. If you could go back in time, would you still do this podcast? I actually don't know her answer.
I don't know the answer either.
Oh, I know my answer.
Is your answer yes?
My answer is 100% yes.
I don't know the answer. I have to think. I may never know. It might be different days.
That's fair. Some days
I like a lot about it. It's great. It's just it makes my life more complicated than I thought it would be had I not had a podcast, because you can't talk on the internet without somebody getting mad about it all the time.
Well, all the time. And you lose sleep about it. I don't. So that's probably why I'm still like a solid yes.
You don't like re-interact with it again.
I don't.
If you had to see it every 5 minutes, you'd be like,
that's fair. Motherfucker. So plans for this next year and goals for the podcast. What's one of your goals?
I don't have goals. I want to keep doing it every week. That's my goal right now, right? And I think that's a lot for us because we've been teetering on the edge of not doing it a lot.
She says that. Maybe I'm giving off that impression that I'm not in it to win it, but I'm here. I'm showing up. I'm going to keep showing up.
No, I'm not saying like whatever, right? Whenever this podcast does end, it will end abruptly with no
filtering her response, guys. I can see it. She's holding back. Just give it to me real.
Ends,
she's like, one day Jana's just gonna not show up anymore.
Yes. Yes, that's what will happen. And it won't be like anything probably even weird. You're just like, I'm tired of it. And then it'll be done.
On to the next thing. On to my OnlyFans.
And that's fine, because that's how a lot of them end. It's fine. It's fine, right? But the motivation should be very intrinsic, right? Like if you spoke to no one, you would still do it because you derive pleasure from the conversation or the topics or whatever. So I just always am like I'm like praying Jana is receiving some intrinsic value each week.
That I'm getting the virtual.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
So coming up this year, in January, we're probably going to introduce a new intro song. We're probably,
Is that
you
a
want to talk
goal?
about that?
Though? Like,
It
it's just not
is like,
something
well,
we're
what to look
doing.
forward to.
Yeah.
We are going to hopefully start a Patreon. We have had a lot of people that want to throw money at us for some
See, we
reason.
don't. I don't
Dollar
know.
bills,
We'll have to
yo.
figure it out. But like, we don't have to wait for January to do that. But if you wanted to, it's just like whenever we get a
get around
idea
to
of what
it.
the hell the levels.
So we
would
say
be.
January because my quarter ends December 13th, and from December 13th to like January 7th, I don't have school. So it'll happen sometime in there. People that just want to throw us coffee money or tip money. We will also have like a spot where if you want to sponsor the podcast at like a monthly rate, we'll give you a shout out.
Yeah,
or
we
a
know
little
people have been
ad spot.
asking, and
People
we
have been
feel
asking,
bad.
and yeah, we
I
feel bad that you want to throw money at us, and we're
swear
like,
to
oh.
God, we don't serve Shane's brand.
I don't.
very
Yeah, like,
well.
how are we helping him? I think he's helping us. If
Right.
anything,
That's
it's not.
what I'm
He's
saying.
paying us to help us with his notoriety.
I was talking to
I don't know
Shane
how
and,
that works.
Sean Bradley in private about this, and I'm like, I swear to God, we're ruining Shane's life. And he's like, no, you're fine. And I'm like, I don't know. I legitimately do not know.
So we are looking at adding some things and looking at like changing some things up, but nothing major.
Thank you.
We're still wanting to show up every week. If something changes in that, we'll let you know. Right now I'm doing prerequisites for my nursing program. Once I start my nursing program in like 18 months, if I even get in.
You're being like clinicals and shit. That's going to be crazy.
So the schedule may change, but for now I'm going to keep showing up. So thank you for bearing with us. Thank you for riding the ride. Thanks for, I mean, I can't even believe that some of our episodes have 300 plus downloads. Like that's literally, I was hoping for 10. So it's exceeded my expectations. How much I love it has exceeded my expectations. How much Jessica has put up with in my pillow princess.
And how much other people have put up with Jessica. Right.
The fact that you guys keep showing up, the fact that we have so many people today, when you guys didn't even know it was our anniversary episode, is pretty amazing.
We didn't promote it that way because I didn't think anybody would care that much about us talking
other than us.
So I wanted to lead with something a little that somebody might be interested
give
in
a shit about.
Maybe around.
So we're going to keep showing up for you guys. If you have things you want to hear or things that we've gone over that you want us to go over again.
Thank you, Dylan. Yeah, drop a like. We don't ever ask for much.
We should. Yeah, drop a like, drop a comment, share, subscribe, whatever if you want to.
Yeah, or don't.
Or no, it's cool. Like literally, we're gonna keep showing up whether you guys do or not.
Yeah, we're gonna trick you all into liking your snakes enough to take care of them.
You think you're here for the boobs, but we're gonna trick you into learning about biosecurity in the process. So, you know, and like sometimes, you know, there may be things if you're married and don't want to look, close your eyes. There's gonna be things like this shown on the screen.
Whoa.
And that was for whoever had asked for the picture. It's really important to both of us, and whether we have no one listening or we have lots of people listening, like we're going to keep being here and we're going to keep doing what we're doing, and
until we don't
we don't tell, you know, maybe I get too busy with school or
yeah, if that happens though, like I don't know, that's not I don't begrudge that hypothetical future because I think it will happen eventually. Like it must, right? Surely.
Well, I hope that in the future that we'll just maybe if it gets too much, we'll do less rather than just give up, because I don't know. I feel like this is like my place. This is like therapy for me, y'all.
You're working through stuff.
I'm working through stuff.
Hanging out with the weird secular girl. Ew.
This is the one thing that I started doing for myself that I made no apologies or excuses or asked permission to do from anyone. And I came and did it, and it sucked to carve out time for it. And I had to IOU people for childcare and, you know, be in debt to my ex for watching the kids or whatever. Like I had to make time for it.
Right. Isn't that
scrape out time?
Holy shit.
Yeah. And so it's like, I had to actively make this work, but it was important to me. It was the thing I did for myself. And at the time I wasn't doing anything for myself. And so for me, to continue to do that. It's really important because this is something I do for myself. I don't do it for my business. I don't do it for notoriety. I don't do it for because I feel obligated. This is the thing I do for myself because I love it and I'm enjoying it and I'm enjoying the process. And so I don't really
there's no
lose
clout
that.
in what we're doing, everybody. I just
There's
want you
none.
to know,
There's none.
shit.
It's not making us more sales. It's not
No.
making our business more notorious. It's not doing anything like that. But for me, it's very personal. It's very important to me that I continue to show up because it matters to me, even if it makes sense to no one else. And so, yeah, I'm doing a lot of shit, a lot more shit than I was doing 6 months ago. My life is really crazy, but this is the thing I do for me. And so as long as Jessica will have me and keep putting up with me, I'm going to keep showing up because this is the thing I do for me. And if you guys benefit from it, that makes me super happy. But I'm here for me. I'm sorry, guys. I'm here for me because I love that I'm doing this. This is something that I felt like I should say no to, and I did for a long time because I was scared to do it. And as soon as it wasn't that I was scared that I wouldn't be good at it. It wasn't that I didn't think I could do it. It was just that I didn't think, or I thought I needed permission to say yes or something like that. And so saying yes was very transformative. You've played a role in transforming my life, Jessica. And now I'm divorced and footloose and fancy free and also buried in biology. The podcast broke my life in a very good way.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, actually, if you think about it.
I mean, it really did. It
happened all in 1 year, too.
Yeah, no, it was when I started saying yes to myself and what I wanted. And, so this is like part of me owning me and me leaving room for myself. And so having a space to do that.
Women do have feelings, everybody.
We aren't the subspecies that are supposed to be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen.
I mean, unless you want to.
Dinner and pie. If that's your thing, go for it. But
if
it's not your thing and someone's making it be your thing and you feel obligated to that, you shouldn't. That's a whole nother episode, though. But Jessica has to go to her show, and then she's going to tell us about it next week.
Yes, holy balls! I'm hearing stuff. It'll be okay. I'm hoping for okay. I would like to sell 1 corn snake. That's
Wait, Dylan, are you married? Comment below. I need to know.
As far as last nights, I don't have time to go into it, but I 100% believe that all of the parties involved could be friends one day.
Jessica was trying to be a peacemaker.
Am I wrong? Could adults that like snakes talk to each other about snakes for pleasure?
We don't have to all be friends, but we can definitely all be respectful and get along and be in the same space.
It was tough. I've called many people. Many people know many things, and I'm sure many other people have called many other people. But I wish they would. I think it could be at least like cash, not friends, but just like everyone's cash about it. And it's
casually
not cash
okay
right
that we're in the same sphere. The end.
Yes,
that's all we're expecting out of this.
All right, happy Halloween, everybody. Hope you all get really fucked up and have fun. Dress up like anime girls. And,
I will take pictures.
I'll take pictures of the show. I'm probably gonna wear a Akatsuki because it's like an easy one to take off when it gets hot.
But mine will not be something you could take off when you get hot.
Well, it's a different kind of take off when you get hot. Wow. All right. Thank you, everyone who showed up to the live. You're all beautiful, and I love you. And we'll all join a commune one day and have sister wives. It'll be fun.
The good kind of sister wives.
Yeah, not the rapey kind.
Oh no, I meant the rapey kind.
Oh.